Bay has located a big wall cloud. It's a precursor to a tornado, most likely, but it is wrapped up pretty tightly and rotating close to, well, just north of Red Bay. So he's looking at areas up in here. So if you're around Pogo or Pleasant sites, you've got less than 5 minutes to get to a tornado shelter. You need to get underground, get to a basement, get inside a closet or a hallway away from windows in northwestern Franklin County, as well as western Colbert County. These storms have had a history of producing some hail. There have been reports of wall clouds and funnel clouds along the way, but a tornado warning now in effect for Colbert County and Franklin County until, well, you see, look at there, a brand new low-level lock has just come in on that one. So a tornado warning exists for the northern part of Franklin County and most of Colbert County until, Christina, Ben, give me the expiration time on that.
5:30.
5:30 until 5:30 p.m. The storm is right on the state line right now. There's another one to the southwest that is rotating as well. All of this shifting up toward the east-northeast at about 45 miles per hour. So I'll track the point where we believe the tornado would be, and that is in the northwest edge of Franklin County and into southern Colbert County as well. So what we're doing here is just kind of shifting the map around a little bit, kind of giving you a perspective of where things are at the moment. The tornadic part of the storm would be just north of Red Bay, approaching Pogo and Pleasant site. Large hail will fall first. Then there would likely be a period of quiet, followed by what might be the roar of a tornado or a roar. The tornado might not be all the way to the ground, but there could still be that sound. Brian Carcione from the National Weather Service in Huntsville reporting tennis ball size hail in southern Tishomingo County with this storm. So a very significant thunderstorm over northwest Alabama right now, and it is tracking toward the northeast at about 45 miles per hour. Christina, I'm going to toss over to you for just a moment. You kind of read the warning out to us and let us know who's in the path of it.
Absolutely. So once again, this tornado warning is in effect for southern Colbert County as well as northern Franklin County through 5:30 p.m. Essentially, the cities or the locations impacted by this particular storm include Russellville, Red Bay, Littleville, Leeton, Belgreen, Pogo, Cedar Creek, New Bethel, and LaGrange. Essentially, this storm is moving very quickly at the east at about 65 miles per hour. It's already got a history of producing a tennis ball size hail, as well as it has a history of also producing a wall cloud, if not a funnel itself. And so, yes, that's right. The National Weather Service in Memphis is relaying to us that a reported funnel cloud has been spotted with this particular thunderstorm moving through. So this is one of those things that you absolutely want to take seriously if you are in the counties of Colbert County and Franklin County. Again, I'm going to read off those city names because I know a lot of us are wondering which cities. That's Russellville, Red Bay, Littleville, Leeton, Belgreen, Pogo, Cedar Creek Reservoir, New Bethel, and LaGrange. This storm is moving very quickly towards the east at 65 miles per hour. You need to go to your safe place immediately. Jason?
All right. Thank you very much. And by the way, a safe place is somewhere where you're putting as many walls between you and the outside as possible. A basement or a storm shelter is a good idea, but here's the thing. This thing is already on top of Pleasant site, basically. So Pogo, Pleasant site, it's on top of you right now. You don't have any time. You got to get to that safe place now. Cedar Creek Reservoir, you've got about 14 minutes. Belgreen, just almost 20 minutes. Russellville and Frankfort, about 20 to 30 minutes away from getting to you. But that storm certainly means some serious business over Franklin County in northwest Alabama. So the tornado warning is in effect for Colbert County and for Franklin County until 5:30 p.m. This is a cell that has had a history of producing funnel clouds and tennis ball size hail. The hail fell over in Tishomingo County, and it's likely falling in Franklin County too. In fact, we can look at the hail track and show you where the hail has been and where it continues to be. So a tornado warning in effect, also a severe thunderstorm warning in effect because of the fact that there's hail outside of just the tornado threat. We've already seen some big hail in parts of North Alabama this afternoon, and this just further solidifies that we're going to have big hailstorms along with storms that are capable of producing tornadoes. This is called the shear rate product, and I'm going to go in tight here and show you where the greatest shear is in the thunderstorm. That gives us an idea of where a tornado would be developing. And look at that. Right there, just southwest of Pleasant Site. But now remember, we're using radar. We're looking a couple of thousand feet off the ground here. That little red spot is where there's a good probability, a high probability, that there is at least a funnel cloud, if not a tornado, on the ground. So Pogo, Pleasant Site, and then down the line towards Cedar Creek Reservoir, you need to be in a safe place right now. Check this out. The BTI is up to a 4.6 on this storm, and I'm going to go in even a little bit closer here so we can see some of the county roads that are in the path of this, and you can kind of pick them out. There's Alabama Highway 247, so this is just a few miles away from Alabama Highway 247, and it is still moving toward the east at roughly about 45 to close to 50 miles per hour. I'm going to kind of bounce the view out and get us our western counties so that we can see everything that's going on here. The bottom line is here with this storm that we have in progress, it's had a history of producing some wind damage, or what looks to be wind damage. We've had a history of some tennis ball size hail, and certainly by the looks of things right now, I think that is a possibility yet again within that storm that's over northwestern Franklin County. What you're seeing there, the shear within the storm, this will be impacting the Russellville area, especially just northwest of downtown Russellville. If you are in Russellville, up toward Russellville High School, Frankfort, even over to Bell Green, you're very close to it in Bell Green. It may not get all the way that far south along Highway 24, but it's going to be awfully close. I want you to go ahead and go through your tornado safety plan. Severe thunderstorm warning in effect, tornado warning in effect as well, and that warning goes all the way to the Lawrence County line. Let's kind of look at a couple of more products here, and just to kind of show you the ability of the Barron software here. This is called Lynx to investigate these storms. We'll look at some of the velocities. This is the storm relative velocity. This is one of the things that you're probably accustomed to seeing when we're covering the storms, as opposed to the shear rate and some of those other radar derived features. But a very intense couplet has developed within this. You have inbound toward the radar here and outbound here, so you end up with a counterclockwise circulation. So you got wind moving this way over here, and then wind moving this way over here. And what we can do is, with the radar, we can infer that right about there, somewhere within that circle, there's a good chance that there is a wall cloud, a funnel cloud, and potentially a tornado. Now, we can't see the tornado with radar, but the radar is doing a pretty good job of telling us whereabouts it would be. And we're seeing a lot of lightning on the north side of this storm, so we're going to wait and see if there are any damage reports coming from this. If you're in Red Bay, this is happening just to your northeast. This has just passed Pogo, and it is now approaching the Cedar Creek Reservoir. So if you know somebody who's been out here today thinking that the weather wasn't going to be all that bad, they do not need to be on the water. They don't need to be out on a dock watching this. They need to be in a safe place. Send them a text message. Don't bother calling. Just send them a text and tell them that they need to get off the water and get to a safe place, because this thing is going to come right over top of Cedar Creek Reservoir. Kind of move the view out just a little bit and put another storm track on here so that it's easier for you to see where it's going. We'll also switch back to that standard rain view so that it's what you're more accustomed to seeing. And by the way, all of these storms have the potential to rotate. Let's look at this one up here to the north. There is a small couplet on that one as well. That's using the base velocity. This is the storm relative velocity, so we've got a broad couplet right there. A slightly more intense one here that's just to the northeast of Red Bay that's approaching Alabama Highway 247. And then even down the line farther, there are more storms in Mississippi that are capable of producing tornadoes, and they will move into this area, which is much more favorable over North Alabama and southern Middle Tennessee over the next few hours. That couplet getting a little bit tighter right there as it's approaching Cedar Creek Reservoir, especially the south end of the lake. Needs you to be in a safe place right now. If you're between the lake and Bell Green, you need to be in a safe place too. Let's put a storm track on here, and what I'm going to do is leave this up so it's easy to see where the rotation is, and I'm going to track it from right here and put that speed at about 48 miles per hour. So the tornado warning expires again at 5:30 p.m. There are some of the times of arrival. Russellville, close to 5:30. You've got about 20 minutes in Russellville before this is going to be on top of you, and especially the northwest side of Russellville. I think the northwest side of Russellville, you really need to be in a safe place right now. If you're close to Russellville High School, I want you in one. But if you live within the Russellville city limits or as far southwest as Bell Green, down toward the Russellville Airport, the Russellville Industrial Park area, I want you in a safe place too, because this is where the rotation is, and that's where it's going. There are the times of arrival. That's not the time of arrival of the rain. That's where the tornado would be. Ben, Christina, do we have any reports so far coming in? Ben, let's go to you.
All right. There's a new mesoscale discussion that just came out from the Storm Prediction Center, and it has that area highlighted Jason is talking about right along Alabama Highway 24 in Franklin County, all the way over almost to sections of Morgan County. So that area that Jason was just talking about right now, and then further to the east, you can almost draw a line along Highway 24 and eventually along Highway 20. That whole corridor right there, that area is most conducive for tornadic activity. And looking at some of the information I see on Twitter with this particular cluster, we're getting numerous confirmations now of a wall cloud, some significant hail with this particular storm. And it looks like, as Jason said, right near White Oak there along Alabama Highway 247, that's where that rotation is. And it's moving to the east anywhere between 40 to 60 miles per hour. These are some fast-moving storms, and where you see that dark shade of pink, that really deep fuchsia color there west of Crooked Oak, that's where we have that significant hail. We've already had so many reports in northern Madison County up to the north and east with hail covering the ground, and we may have another scenario here, but most importantly, this is a tornado warning. We've had confirmation of a wall cloud. If it's on the ground yet, we're not sure, but the important thing is you need to be in a safe place right now if you're in Franklin County. But again, that mesoscale discussion that came out from the Storm Prediction Center does have that one part of Alabama highlighted from Franklin County all the way over to I-65 over the next to about 8 o'clock this evening. There's about almost a 3-hour window there with the potential for a tornado for that location. So, Jason, that's one area we really need to keep a close watch on over the next few hours.
That's right, Ben. And just looking at some of the reports coming in from the National Weather Service, nothing has been confirmed as far as a tornado on the ground. But I just heard from a friend over in Russellville, listening to the scanner, that there's some rotation has been reported just east of Red Bay near Highway 247 at Highway 24. This is what the storm looks like in 3 dimensions. We'll just kind of go in a little bit tighter here and show you some of the things that we can see here in 3D. The bottom line is that this is an extremely powerful storm. Look how tall it is. And you can also see that rotation that's happening on the northwest side. We've got another storm up here that's rotating. We've got this storm that's close to Red Bay that's rotating. And then there's another one that's southwest of Red Bay that could be rotating as well. So we'll go back to a more standard looking radar view using the Columbus, Mississippi NexRad. This is what the rain pattern looks like over northwest Alabama. We'll straighten the map up for you so that you can see a little bit more accurately where your position is. And remember, this is hours away from getting into northeast Alabama. So if you're in DeKalb County or Jackson County or Marshall County, we're a long way away from this. It's probably about an hour and a half away from getting into the Huntsville area. That's going to put us between 6 and 7 o'clock getting these cells across Lawrence County, Morgan and Limestone into Madison County. Right now it looks like a big mess of rain and wind and hail over parts of Franklin County and Colbert County. There are 2 rotating thunderstorms, and then potentially a third rotation seems to be developing on the southwest side of Red Bay as we speak. So let's go in close, and we'll start with the top storm here and look at what's going on in the southwest part of Colbert County. You can see we've got that spin. Watch this as we take the radar view and put it on the velocity data. We should be able to see a slightly tighter couplet. Watch this. We'll put, okay, yeah, a much tighter couplet developing right there, just east of Minot, and that one's headed toward Colbert Heights. So if you're in Colbert Heights, we've been talking more about Franklin County, but this northern storm seems to be the one that has the greater potential for rotation at this moment. Let's tilt the map back into more of a standard view here, and we'll also zoom out just a little bit to kind of give you some perspective on on where we are in northwest Alabama. This is Franklin County, this is Colbert County, this is Lauderdale County, and for the most part, we have not heard any reports of any damage with this to this moment, but these storms have a history of producing very large hail. There's potential for very strong winds within them and a threat that we could have some tornadic circulation. The tornado could be on the ground at any moment within any of these. The northern storm, which is unusual, usually it's a southern storm that gets the greater inflow and has the greater potential for a tornado. But in this case, the northern storm has the tighter circulation on it. So let's focus here on Colbert County and northern Franklin County all together. We'll just zoom in and try to get both of them in the view and put storm tracks on both. So there is one rotation. There is our other rotation, the possible tornado that's close to Cedar Creek Reservoir. We can give you an all clear for the moment in Pogo and Pleasant Site. We can give you an all clear for the moment, not an all clear for the night. Until the tornado watch is canceled, you have no all clear. Trust me on that. But right now, from these particular storms, Minot, Pogo, Pleasant Site, and let's say from Red Bay north up toward the Colbert County line, the northwest corner of Franklin County, we're starting to see the risk begin to wane away just a little bit. But there's a rotation that has tightened up considerably. That is moving over here toward Hawk Pride Mountain, in toward Colbert Heights. Let's go in a little bit tighter so we can see that. And we'll put a storm path on here for you and show you precisely where we think this thing is going to wind up. I'm going to put my finger where the possible tornado would be and drag this to the northeast just like that at about 44 miles per hour. There are some of the things in the path of it. You notice this does include Tuscumbia and parts of Sheffield, but that's because the fan gets so wide out here toward the end. I would suggest that from Highway 72 south is going to be our greater potential for damaging wind or a tornado with this, but around Tuscumbia and Sheffield and into Muscle Shoals over to Northwest Alabama Regional Airport, we've got potential for some hail. Christina.
Two things. Want to report that spotters are reporting some rotation near Highway 247 and Highway 21 in north central Franklin County. Also want to let you know, Jason, this is from Brian Carcione at the National Weather Service. Our CC, or our correlation coefficient, essentially a ratio of what kind of debris or rain may be tumbling in the atmosphere. The CC is lowering with the rotation that just prompted the Colbert warning. I have pulled up armor on my particular link system here, and it does look like from the Colbert Heights area along US 43 from Colbert Heights down to Littleville, that looks to be rain that is now starting to switch over to what may be some kind of thing that we need to be monitoring. Right,
and we're looking at this from live armor as well. We can switch sources on the fly here. Yeah, that does look pretty dirty. Right down there, so there could be some debris being lofted up here. That spot right there would concern me a lot. You see the live sweep line coming around. Let's look at the reflectivity. There's definitely something going on back here. So if you're around Frankfort or Crooked Oak, then you need to be in your safe place right now. I think the greater threat of a tornado is really in Colbert County, but still in Franklin County. While we have this warning in effect, if you're around Russellville, you need to be in your safe place. Belgreen, you need to be in your safe place as well. Look at the velocity data here. It looks pretty noisy from Armor, but Armor's a good bit away from it at this point. So let's look at it from Columbus, Mississippi. I still see the circulation right there, but now keep in mind, because that's the Columbus radar, it's a little bit delayed. It's more likely that that circulation is somewhere in this area right now, and it's tracking almost due east like that. So Russellville proper, if you live in the Russellville city limits, you need to be in your safe place right now. Let's back the view out here just a little bit so that we can put a storm track on there, and we're going to track both of these for you. Boy, both of those look pretty tight right now. It seems like one will strengthen, the other one will weaken. Now it appears that this one that's close to Cedar Creek Reservoir is a little bit stronger based on the high top imagery. So let's track that one first. I'm going to put my finger where the possible tornado would be on radar. But remember, it's probably a little bit closer to, say, the north side of Belgreen right now, given how fast it's moving. So I'll pull the storm track out here to 45 miles per hour. That's going to get us to Saints Crossroads, Russellville, Waco, Newburgh, Mount Hope, potentially at 5:50 p.m. Then we've got this northern storm that's just northwest of Crooked Oak in Colbert County. That one is also moving toward the northeast. Remember, tornado warning in effect until 5:45. That storm is moving to the northeast at about 45 miles per hour. And just like we did with the southern storm, what we're going to do is put it where we believe the tornado would possibly be at this moment, which would be probably about 5 miles northwest of Crooked Oak, moving to the northeast at about 45 miles per hour. So there's your storm track on that one. Let me kind of move the map here so it's a little bit easier to see where that would be affecting you. So Tuscumbia, Sheffield, you're going to get missed by the tornado here. But Colbert Heights, Milk Springs, the White Oak area, some of the same spots that were under a tornado warning earlier this afternoon, about 3 hours ago, when we had that first initial storm that just kind of blew up over northwest Alabama that created all the hail. To my knowledge, there was no damage with that other than the hail that fell out of it, but the hail was prolific. And speaking of hail, we can look at where the hail is falling right now. The northern storm does not have quite as much hail potential, but this southern storm, boy, look at that. You start getting into these blacks, and we move from probable to likely hail. It doesn't tell us how large it is, but some of it has been to the size of tennis balls, as we understand it, over southern Tishomingo County, which is this county right here over toward Belmont. Pogo, Pleasant Site. This storm is past you. In fact, the leading edge of the hail is now out here close to the north side of Russellville along Highway 43. There's likely going to be some hail close to Russellville High School, and then up toward, I believe it's called Twin Pines Golf Course, if that's still the name of it, and then up toward the Littleville area too. Christina?
Jason, I want to let you know that this tornado warning has now been extended eastward into Lawrence County. So locations in Lawrence County are now within that tornado warning. It is just west of Moulton, but I want to let you know that this is now moving eastward. All
right, and that will expire at 6 o'clock as well. And we don't want to forget this little guy over here that's east of Albertville. That storm not severe at this moment. We've got the lightning display turned on. You see no lightning with that. There may be some low ragged clouds. It may look kind of scary, but that storm is not severe at the moment. That's why we're focused on what's going on over here in northwest Alabama. So the warning has been extended into Lawrence County until 6 p.m. If you live in western Lawrence County, from Moulton, Muck City, Mount Hope, up toward Hatton, I want you to be in a safe place right now. If Live Alert 19 went off for you, if it alerted you to the warning, then you need to be in a safe place. You need to go ahead and get there. Now, the good thing is in Lawrence County, that's a lot of lead time on that because the storm isn't even quite to Russellville just yet. But in southwest Lawrence County, I want you to go ahead and go through your tornado safety plan. We'll zoom in here so it's a little bit easier to see what communities are going to be impacted by this, and we'll also clear off that initial storm track. There again, you see the tornado warning expires at 6 p.m. It includes Hatton, Mount Hope. It does not include the city of Moulton. You may have a Moulton zip code out along Highway 24, but it does not include the city of Moulton proper. But the storm itself, the rotating part of the storm, is just to the northwest of downtown Russellville as we speak. Let me pull that tornado warning box over. We'll look at the velocity display here. This is storm relative velocity. A pretty tight little couplet right there just north of Belgreen. And remember, the storm spotters on the scanner there in Franklin County did report rotation close to Highway 24 and Highway 247. That's out close to Swamp Johns. So that has now progressed just east of Belgreen. It looks like it's over the southeast tip of Cedar Creek Reservoir and headed right into the city of Russellville. I can't stress this enough. If you're in Russellville, you need to be in a safe place right now. That is a very, very strong indication of a tornado. This is moving east at about 45 miles per hour. So Russellville, 5:32. You got 9 minutes until it gets there. Saints Crossroads, Tharptown, Mount Hope, Waco, Newburgh, Hatton also want you in a safe place. Even though your town doesn't show up in that storm track, this is about 1 hour's worth of movement right here, as fast as it's moving. But into the Hatton area, Mount Hope, especially south, what you might call southwest Hatton, closer to the Colbert County line as opposed to closer to the Tennessee River. I want you to be in a safe place right now. And I realize there are a lot of lines showing up on that map right now. But one good thing about these lines is it helps us to interrogate the storm and get a good look at what it's doing. Let's go over to Live Armor Radar and look at the reflectivity product. And you can see it's just one big mass of heavy rain. There's potential for rotation right over top of Russellville right now. Let's look at the velocity product as it begins to pop on here. Very, very noisy. I'm going to turn off some of these lines so it's a little easier to see, and we'll also turn off that tornado warning so that you can see what we're talking about here. And as the map just kind of moves around there a little bit, giving us the view, there are two storms of concern. The southernmost storm right now is giving us some trouble around Russellville. That northernmost storm does not look quite as, it doesn't look like it's got the same rotation with it that it did just a little while ago based on high top, but we'll also look at it from Columbus. And yeah, you can still see it. Looking at it from different radar vantage points does make a difference. And look at that. Our couplet is still right there, just northeast of Belgreen. Highway 24 and north. This is Highway 24 right here. Let's just kind of go in a little tighter, and we'll show you some of the street level that's going to be potentially impacted by this storm. So there you see Russellville High School on the map. There's our possible tornado. That's where it was about 3 minutes ago. And remember, that's using the Columbus, Mississippi radar. Let's go over to Live Armor and show you the reflectivity product. That is on top of Russellville High School right now. So there's a difference. There's a little bit of a lag time between using the Live and using the NexRad. So if you are in Russellville, possible tornado on top of you right now. Let's go down towards southwestern Franklin County. There you see Isbell. That's pretty close to the Russellville Airport. There's another storm down here that may have some hail with it just northwest of Duketon, Nicks Mill, some small communities out around the Dismals Canyon area, Liberty Hill. There's a Liberty Hill Church that's right there on Highway 43. This also showing signs of rotation. So we're going to watch that very, very carefully. But our tornado warning is for northern Franklin County, including the city of Russellville, and we also have the warning for Colbert County. What you're seeing right there is an upper level scan, and now we're back to the lower level. Possible tornado right there on the west side of Russellville. Can't stress it enough. Safe place, lowest level, away from windows, interior bathroom, closet, hallway, something that puts as many walls between you and the outside as possible. Then up here in Colbert County, as that upper level scan begins to fade away, and one of the cool things about the way we can use armor is we can tilt up through the storm and get a full picture of what it's doing and then go right back to the low level. There's where the other possible tornado would be, near Colbert Heights. If your children or you are a person who goes to Colbert Heights High School, I want you to be in a safe place for about another 10 minutes. That's where you need to be. Highway 43 between Colbert Heights, Milk Springs, Littleville. You need to be in a safe place, but I really think this storm that's around Russellville is the most dangerous one on the map right now. In Russellville, you need to be hunkered down, away from windows. Don't go outside and watch this thing come through. Given how much precipitation is falling with it, you're not likely to see much of anything anyway. The way that the velocity looks on armor, we're trying to shoot through all that heavy rain on the front side to see what's going on with the velocity back here. You can see some broad rotation. Let's go back over to the Columbus NexRad and look at that same product through the velocity and see if that couplet is still there, and it sure is. But remember, what's here, based on the Columbus radar, is actually almost over top of downtown Russellville. We've got that storm that is just northwest of Crooked Oak that's approaching Colbert Heights as we speak. It should be right about there right now. In fact, I'll just telestrate that out. And remember, this is from Columbus, so the possible tornado from Colbert County would be here. Possible tornado in Franklin County would be right about there over top of Russellville. Both of them tracking toward the east at roughly 45 miles per hour, so it's just a matter of time until this gets over here toward White Oak and Old Bethel, Saints Crossroads, Tharptown, Newburgh, Waco. If I called out your community, you still need to be in your safe place. Let me call out a few places that are no longer in danger from this particular set of storms. That would be Red Bay, Pogo, Minot, Cherokee, Barton, Tuscumbia, Sheffield. You're still technically in the warning, but the storm is actually passing a little bit to your south. And you can see all the blinking red boxes there. Let's just kind of clear the map here for a moment and show you what's happening. The yellow box was the initial severe thunderstorm warning. You've got a tornado warning there for Colbert County. You've got a tornado warning here for Franklin County, an extension of that initial warning, and then you have the one large tornado warning that was issued for both counties. when the storms came across the state line and started showing some signs of rotation. So the two circles right there are where we expect the tornado to be right now. Let's go back over to Armor Reflectivity, and this is the live view on what's going on. So you can see the circles that I've drawn match up pretty well with where Armor is showing that right now. I want to show you the Columbus data. Go to the reflectivity product. I still think there may be some potential for rotation there, and another one down southwest of Red Bay that has a severe thunderstorm warning on it in North Mississippi. All four of these storms have the potential to produce a tornado. The two that seem to have the most potential right now are in Colbert County and Franklin County, and both of them are moving east at about 45 miles per hour. You just saw the latest scan come in right there. The rotation in Colbert County, that's just north of Crooked Oak, seems to be weakening a bit. And remember, that is moving east-southeast of Colbert Heights. I still want you in a safe place around Colbert Heights, Milk Springs, Spring Valley, south end of the Muscle Shoals area, south end of Tuscumbia. If you are from Highway 72 north, though, in Tuscumbia and Sheffield and Muscle Shoals, this is clearly passing south of you. Even though you got the Live Alert 19 warning, if you are, say, from downtown Tuscumbia north up toward Deschler, toward Helen Keller Hospital, and then onto the river, you're going to be fine from this. This storm is not really affecting you more than just some scattered rain in the area, but the true tornadic part of the storm is down to the south, and it should be affecting the city of Russellville, and another one affecting the area just to the south of Colbert Heights. Christina.
And we have Shane and meteorologist Gabrielle Diebler in Russellville right now. They are in Storm Hunter 19. They are on US 43. They're facing north, watching this tornadic storm as it comes through. And we're looking at their picture right now. You can see that in the upper right-hand corner while we have the radar going right now. So this is our crew. Again, meteorologist Gabrielle Diebler, as well as our photographer and driver, Shane Hayes. They are monitoring what is going on the ground, giving us some ground truth here. Of course, they are maintaining a position that keeps them safe, but at the same time giving us an idea as to what is happening. So again, this is Storm Hunter 19 with meteorologist Gabrielle Diebler as well as Shane Hayes, our photographer and driver. They're on US 43 in Russellville, facing north as they're watching this tornadic storm go through Franklin County. They do want to state that there's not a lot being seen right now, but if Gabrielle Diebler can hear me, I do actually want to go ahead and include her in this conversation. Gabrielle, what are you seeing?
I do actually want to go ahead and include her in this conversation.
Hey, yeah, Christina, we got you. Can you, do we have my mic up?
We have you.
Me?
We have you.
Christina, we got you. Can you, is my, do you have my mic up? Can you hear me?
All right, y'all. We are in Russellville right now. We are actually going to go ahead and start heading south because this storm is about to be right on top of us, and obviously we are trying to be safe. We want to really, really emphasize to you, Shane and I have been storm hunting for years. I was trained to do this when I was in college. Photojournalist Shane Hayes also has been doing this for years. Do not try to come out here and watch these storms because we are out here doing it. Again, we've been doing this for a while. This storm is about right on top of us. That's why we're headed south, because we want to get just south of it to let it pass by us so that we stay in a safe vantage point. Still in Russellville right now, we can see all those kind of classic signs of tornadoes, sky turning green. We've seen a lot of lightning from this as well, so we're going to keep a very, very close eye on the situation. We are getting, I think, just south enough now that we should be in a good spot for this. And right now, our camera is facing south, but if I look right out my window, you can see a lot of kind of a wall of green, dark skies, and we'll try to get that vantage point for you in just a second. But again, of course, we're trying to make sure that we are in a safe place as well. You can also start to hear the thunder going off from this. Like I said, a lot of lightning has been going off, a lot of really visual and striking lightning that's been going cloud to ground from this as well. All right, here we go. We are kind of just on top of a hill now, watching this storm as it moves over. Y'all still got us up?
Yeah, we're good.
Perfect.
So we're looking northwest.
All right, we are currently looking northwest. That is where this storm will be moving, just to the north of us. And it wouldn't be a bad idea to head just a little bit further south here as well. like I said, we're in Russellville, so we're trying to keep ourselves right in between these storms to make sure that we are in a good spot as well. Right now, we're not seeing a lot but heavy rainfall from this. Again, just because you are not seeing a lot of hail does not mean that the storm is not something that is very serious. All right, we're going to start headed south again. So you're not going to be able to see that really intense vantage point, but we are starting to see that wind picking up, starting to see the rain pick up as well from this. Visibility getting low, as you can see. We're taking our time moving southward from this cell. And we also want to let viewers know we are watching live coverage as well. We are watching the radar. We are watching Jason and Christina as they cover this. I also, of course, have radar technology with me so that we can watch the storm as well. But we just want to really emphasize that we are taking every precaution that we can with this. Starting to see some of these gusts coming through here, and we're going to want to book it to the south here pretty quick.
All right. So thank you very much, Gabrielle. If we can, let's keep Gabrielle's picture up. What we're going to do is continue to talk about where the storm is going. Having a good visual on it at the same time is good. And we've been noting a lot of social media chatter suggesting that there could be a tornado on the ground. Based on Gabrielle's position right there, we don't see that. And Gabrielle, if you have something, go ahead and speak up at just any moment. But you can see that it's going to be tough to see much of anything in that driving rain out there. These are high precipitation supercells. The possible tornado would likely be passing just east of downtown Russellville right now. I believe Gabrielle is probably within this part of this storm, the northern part of a storm that's a little bit farther south down into the south central part of Franklin County. Both of them are rotating. And by the way, we note that the tornado warning that had been issued for Colbert County has been allowed to expire, but we still have a new, well, the original tornado warning, I should say, is allowed to expire, but a new one still in effect for the far southern part of the county. That does include places like Littleville, Old Bethel, and the Crooked Oak area. That is where I believe our possible tornado would be, just to the east of Russellville right now. And we are still monitoring a lot of different feeds, a lot of different radars, and what you're seeing right here is the live sweep line come around, and that's valuable because we can look at the position a little bit more easily. But we'll also look at this from the perspective of the Columbus, Mississippi radar and try to give you what we can see right there. And look at all that rain. You're not don't go outside and try to watch this. You're not going to see anything. You might see the leading edge of the shelf cloud coming in, but if there is a tornado down, it is most likely wrapped in rain at this point. Here's the reflectivity based off of the Columbus, Mississippi NextRad. You can see we've got the low-level lock on this right here. Okay, she says, let's pull up Gabrielle's mic, please. Gabrielle, tell us what you got. It's
literally on top of us. We're going to want to move south if we're trying to get out of it.
And you can see that cars are pulling off the road.
We are right. First of all, I want to say transformers have blown. There's debris in the road. We are headed south because this is about to be right on top of us, as you can see. We can't see much at all right now. We have other cars on the road. Please, please, if you are not at home, go home and get to your safe place. I don't know how many times that Shane and I can emphasize this, that we've been doing this for years, and even we are taking as many precautions as we possibly can. We're headed south to make sure that we can get south of this storm before it flies right on top of us. I think we're starting to see a little bit of hail as well. Rain is torrential. We have debris flying over the roadways, and we have cars passing us right now. Please do not drive in this, and absolutely do not try to fly through it. If you are trying to get home, listen to us. Do not try to outrun these storms. That is not going to be good for you.
Just south of the Walmart.
All right, we are just south of the Walmart in Russellville right now, still heading southward. So now we are just below where we believe this tornado is probably crossing right over the road that we were just on moments ago. If there's a tornado confirmed with this storm, that is. And we are now Going to continue to move 24. We just saw a road sign for that. We're on 43.
Went under 24.
And just went under 24. So right at that major intersection there, just to the south of Russellville. So we are now, at this point, south of that tornado signature that we were watching just a few moments ago. We're going to go ahead and slow it down here a little bit because there's also another tornado-warned storm just to our south. So, of course, we don't want to drive right into that one.
Right.
That's what we're going to be doing for our evening, is balancing in between these multiple storms that are also tornado-warned. That's why it is so important that
Gabrielle,
you listen to us.
I'm going to have to step in right here and go ahead and talk about the storm. Let's lower her microphone, please, so we can talk about the storm over southwestern parts of Franklin County. We do have a new tornado warning for southwestern Franklin County. That's going to include Vina, Hodges, Phil Campbell, and really the rest of Franklin County that was not under a tornado warning earlier. Christina, you have something?
Real quick, when I'll relay to you, we did get a viewer picture of what looks to be a funnel cloud that came through Russellville. So I want to relay that what we're seeing on radar may be verifying. Funnel cloud appears to have been pictured in Russellville.
All right, and you saw how the traffic lights were behaving there in Gabrielle's shot. In fact, we can do picture in a picture here. Let's get Storm Hunter 19 back up. I don't believe there was much, there probably wasn't any power there either. And Gabrielle, we're going to bring you back in just a moment. Producers, if you could listen to her, just Gabrielle continue to narrate, and the producers will bring up your microphone at just a moment's notice. You can see the wind has calmed down there in her shot, but we now have this new tornado warning. Vina 541, that's now basically. Phil Campbell 604. Russellville, this is going to be on the south side of Russellville at about 605. So we've already had a nasty storm come through the city of Russellville. That one, and again, we're looking at the Columbus, Mississippi radar here. Let's look at this from live armor and show you the exact position of it. And it's going to keep on tracking over toward the east. Looks like we're doing a sector scan right now. So let me go back to the Columbus radar. And what's happening with armor is we're looking at different levels of the storm. And at times, the sweep line is doing this right here. So that's why it takes a minute to fill it in. I'd rather just have the data on there so you can see it. But the tornado what most likely was a tornado that Gabrielle and Shane were just in their Storm Hunter vehicle just a moment ago. That thing is moving to the east just like this. This will be affecting Mount Hope and Moulton, Hatton, Wren. You can see some of the times of arrival there. Neesmith, you might be a little bit far north, but if I were in Neesmith, I'd go ahead and go through that tornado safety plan. You heard Gabrielle mention that there was debris on the road. Based on her view right there on U.S. Highway 43, I'm not seeing a lot of power poles down at this point, although it looks like a couple of them may be leaning right there. Some of the lines may be sagging just a bit. So if Gabrielle has something to say about that, to kind of give us a quick report. Go ahead, Gabrielle.
Has something to say about that, to kind of give us a quick report. Go ahead, Gabrielle.
Yeah, we are on that same road still. We're now facing north, but we're about to turn around now. We have a lot of debris on the roadways, a lot of these power lines sagging, kind of tilted to the side. But we also now are zooming, or at least approaching, a roof that's been blown over. Now, I can't tell from where this came.
Looks like an awning from the side of this
looks
bank.
like an awning. And
the teller machines on the side of the bank.
Oh yeah, okay. So we are in a parking lot right now, just looking at this, and just so that the audience is aware, I know I've gotten a lot of people reaching out to me saying to be safe. That warning has now passed over us. We're just checking out the debris at this point. We were in the parking lot of the Alabama Central Credit Union. That's where all this debris is. You can see it down in this parking lot. Fortunately, the building looks to be structurally okay, but roof's down, and a lot of siding looks to be strung around as well. We also saw some transformer blows. A lot of these power lines are down as well across the road. Of course, it's raining as well, so that's very unfortunate. Power lines sagging already, so anything else that blows through here is going to do a considerable amount of damage just because everything has already been weakened if it hasn't already been taken down. And another note I have for you, again, I know I've said this a few times, but please don't go out in this. I just saw a few people hop out of their cars to check out the situation, and that is just not a good idea. We really want to emphasize to you to stay in and be safe. We're going to go ahead and check out the rest of this area and look for damage. We can see what looks like a tarp sign that's strung over some of the power lines up here. Roof damage to the structure that we're approaching right now. It doesn't look like anything. Oh, yep, roof of this building looks like it has been damaged, if not part of it taken off from this.
Yep.
All right, yep. Yeah, all right. So we have, and I can't identify exactly what this structure is. I'm looking for signs to see here, but we are right across from the Waffle House.
Tractor Supply.
Tractor Supply is where we are, and we have roofing down right in front of us. A lot of damage from this, and we are still seeing cars moving back and forth. So, of course, I know this should go without saying, but please do not run out in this. We're also running into a few other storm spotters, it looks like, across here. Hopefully, of course, they are being safe as well. We'll go ahead and send it back to y'all so we can get a check on some of those other storms that are going to approach us soon. And we're going to check out any more damage or debris, and we'll have more updates for you coming up.
All right. Thank you very much, Gabrielle. Just getting a report from Rodney Cox over in Russellville. He says he has some trees down in his yard. This does appear to have been a tornado. That is the track of the northern storm now. The storm that was in Colbert County has weakened considerably, but there are a couple of other storms out here that we need to be mindful of for the remainder of this evening. One that has developed and really started to ramp up in northern Lauderdale County. This one likely to take a similar track as the ones to the south, more toward the east. Just a bit north of east at about 40 to 50 miles per hour. So there you see some of the times of arrival. Green Hill, Lexington, Anderson, Minor Hill, Tennessee by 6:11 p.m. Green Hill would be about 5:47, so about 2 minutes away. You've got a strong thunderstorm right there. There's another possible tornado farther down to the south, and that one would be this one that is over the southwest edge of Franklin County. So I'm going to zoom in very close. We're going to get rid of some of those storm tracks and go in tight here. And look at you can still see in the upper right-hand corner of your screen, that is live damage video coming from Russellville. This is a big deal today. Some of these tornadoes could get even stronger as all this moves east into a much more favorable environment farther east. We still have low-level shear locks on the storm that is east of Russellville, but we've also got a storm that is farther south that potentially could also produce a tornado that is rotating down close to Vina and Hodges. And matter of fact, it has just passed east of Vina, coming up on Hodges and Phil Campbell. There's a tornado warning for the entire southern half of Franklin County, and this goes until it looks like about 6 o'clock. So just to the top of the hour until 6 o'clock. We've got heavy rain and potential hail around Spruce Pine and Waco. And then we've got, again, a tornado warning for the entire southern part of Franklin County. The storm that is just on the edge of the screen there is tracking to the east at roughly about 45 miles per hour. So we'll put a storm track on that for you. The tornado would be right about there where I put my finger. And this is where this thing is going. So Spruce Pine, Phil Campbell between now and 6:16. Between now and 6 o'clock, Mount Hope, and then down into the Bankhead National Forest between now and about 6:15 to 6:16 p.m. So about a half hour until it gets out that way. Tornado warning continues. We have tornado damage live from Storm Hunter 19 in the upper right-hand corner of your screen. It looks like this has been a fairly significant, whether it be a straight line wind event or a tornado, it doesn't matter. This has started to affect people's lives. There you see a Russellville police officer blocking off the road, and Storm Hunter 19 obliging. They're not going to run through any roadblocks. We don't do things illegal out there. We try to respect our law enforcement because we all need them. We all need our law enforcement officers, and that's Shane actually going to talk to the officer to find out if there's anything that we need to know about that's down that street that we can't get to, or if someone happens to be injured or hurt down that way. So we've got this intense thunderstorm that is now east of Russellville that has likely produced a tornado. You can see that curl right there underneath the barren shear marker. Those rings are low-level shear locks. That means that we've got winds in the lower part of the atmosphere that are rotating and potentially potentially still possibly producing a tornado. Let's look at the velocity product, and we're zoomed in real tight. This is western Lawrence County. This is eastern Franklin County. So everything that we have going on right here is really happening between Russellville and Moulton at this point. So I'm going to back out just a little bit so it's a bit easier to see where we are, and then I'm going to shift the map slightly so that we can get a better storm track on this. Tornado warning remains in effect until the top of the hour, until 6 o'clock. The possible tornado would now be east of Russellville, moving out Highway 24 toward Waco, Tharptown. If you're around Tharptown High School, you need to be in a safe place. By the way, from Russellville west, and I'm talking due west, Highway 24 north, US 43 west, the threat of a tornado from that storm is over. But there's another storm down to the south. Okay, there you see in Storm Hunter 19 in the upper right-hand corner of your screen. That's what the Russellville Police Department was blocking off. A big tree has fallen across that street. I'm not sure what street number or name that is, but I'm sure that's a pretty common sight around most of the city of Russellville, where we have had reports of some substantial damage to some buildings. Some awnings have been blown off. Some parts of roofs have been torn off. So Lawrence, okay, that's on Lawrence Street East in the city of Russellville. So again, we recommend don't get out and go try to find this damage. Let the first responders do their job. You would not want to be in the way if an ambulance was trying to get through to somebody who's been hurt by this. If your car happened to be sitting in the road because you're out sightseeing, just stay put. I know the power is probably out. You're probably listening to us on the radio or on the app, but the threat at the moment has passed east of the city of Russellville, and it is tracking into Lawrence County as we speak. Let's go over to Live Armor Radar and get a view as to what's going on with the live sweep line that'll be coming around in just a moment. And again, I think we're doing some sector scanning. That looks like the tornadic part of the storm is probably all into Lawrence County at this point. There's another storm right down here that's northeast of Phil Campbell that may be producing some high winds and some hail, but the main threat is from that area right there that's just southwest of Hatton and just north of Mount Hope. So let's storm track that out for you and show you where it's going. The storm that is just north of Highway 24 is tracking to the east just like this, and we're going to give it 50 miles per hour so that we can get it to Morgan County. Caddo, Hillsboro, Calebit, Moulton, Langtown in the path of this, Midway in the path of this. So along Highway 24, you're not under a tornado warning yet east of Moulton, but given what has happened in Russellville and the fact that this does not seem to be quieting down that much, I would suggest you go ahead and go to your safe place in Moulton, in Midway, in Caddo, in Calebit, in Langtown, and even at Hillsboro. And then we're going to have to talk about Morgan County here in about 30 to 35 minutes, because at 45 miles per hour, that's where this storm is going. That's about a 30-minute window right there that you see. As we look at Morgan County and Limestone County, there's no threat at this moment, but I think there will be one coming down the line. Let's go to the base velocity here and see if we can get that product again with the sector scan. I'm not sure we're getting the full scan in, so we'll go back to the reflectivity and show you what that looks like. There's where the possible tornado is. It's between Mount Hope and Hatton near Highway 24. You don't need to be driving on Alabama Highway 24 west of Moulton. Don't be on Highway 24 trying to get to Moulton right now out of Russellville. Let this all get past. Our possible tornado moving to the east very quickly. You can see with every sweep of the radar, it tracks on toward the east. So that means it's pretty close to Alabama Highway 101 right now. And then it will be moving over towards Moulton. Walmart sits right there just north of that dot. That dot is downtown Moulton. The Walmart sits right there at the intersection off of Highway 24. So if you are near the Moulton Walmart, I want you to be in a safe place. Even though you're not in the polygon, even though you're not there, we have confirmed damage in Russellville from this storm. And it's a serious situation. This thing could ramp up in intensity. We're noticing a lot more lightning here over just the past couple of minutes on the north side of this storm. There you see the new sweep line coming. It almost looks as if this thing is trying to reorganize and redevelop. Let's look at it from the other vantage point from Columbus, Mississippi. And there we still have our low-level locks. Now, remember, on the live radar I just showed you, the tornadic part of the storm would be right about there. Dollar General off Highway 24, right there where my finger is. Highway 101 going up toward Hatton. That's where our possible tornado would be. So I'm going to put a storm track from there. I just want to leave those low-level locks on there so that you can see the kinds of things that the radar is processing with this data. So there you see the storm that's coming out of Lawrence, coming across Lawrence County from Franklin County. The possible tornado would be right there near Alabama Highway 101. Let's put the storm track on there and show you exactly where this thing is going. So we'll put it at about 50 miles per hour. We're going to get it over toward Morgan County, Trinity, Neal at about 618 to 619. 603 for Moulton. And like I said, Moulton, you're not in the tornado warning right now, but given what I see on radar here, and we'll even look at the velocity product, and we're going to take a couple of these things off here. In fact, I'm going to do that just to make it a little bit easier to see. Moulton, you've got a possible tornado that will be there in, I would say, less than 20 minutes. So I want you to go ahead and be in a safe place if you are in the city of Moulton. I'm going to turn off the rotating rings there so that all we have on are the tornado warnings and the velocity product. We'll even drop that. This is a tight couplet that's showing up on the Columbus, Mississippi radar. So as we get in a little bit tighter on this, you can see right there east of Newburgh, if this thing was on the ground in Russellville, it is still on the ground now, most likely, given the way that that looks. And we'll go over to our armor reflectivity. And remember, it was right there on the Columbus radar. That's most likely right about there right now. So this is Alabama Highway 24. That is Alabama Highway 101 right there. Youngtown technically in the tornado warning. You're just going to get some heavy rain and hail, and there may be some strong gusty winds coming through. But as this is moving on to the east, and this is a higher part of the storm, so we're seeing that tilt. Now we're back to the low level again. So 101 and Highway 24, the possible tornado would be here between 24 and Hatton, moving east into the city of Moulton. So if you're around Moulton or Langtown, or I would even say as far south as Wren, I want you to go ahead and be in a safe place because of the threat of this storm that's to the south. Both of them have some history of rotating, and as we go on here over the next couple of minutes here, I think we're going to continue to see more of the same happening within that storm. So this is the big view again. That storm up in Lauderdale County is rotating. We may end up with a warning for Lauderdale County, northeastern Lauderdale County here pretty soon. But this storm that has produced the damage in the city of Russellville is just about on top of Moulton. It looks like a brand new tornado warning was just issued as well. So let's get the data on that. 6:45, a new tornado warning in effect until 6:45 for Lawrence County. Christina, let's go to you, and you can read off the text of that warning to us.
Absolutely. And again, this is Franklin and Lawrence counties through 6:45. The cities that are going to be impacted by this are Moulton, Newburgh, Hatton, Mount Hope, Colleybutt Springs, Speak, Caddo, Wren, and Landersville. So if any of those towns sound familiar to you, if they are your neighboring towns, you need to go to your safe place immediately. This is the same system, if you will, that has that history of producing what we saw in Russellville. This is continuing to move towards the east at a very fast pace, 35 miles per hour. But again, you don't want to be caught off guard. Again, this is for essentially Franklin County and southern Lawrence counties, including the cities of Moulton, Newburgh, Hatton, Mount Hope, Colleybutt Springs, Speak, Caddo, Wren, and Landersville. You need to go to your safe place immediately. Not only will the threat of a tornado be, quite frankly, likely, but also baseball-size hail. So that is large hail. That's going to be the size of essentially about 2 3/4 of an inch in diameter. So that is hail that will damage not just your vehicle if you left it outside, but that's going to hurt you if it hits you on the head. So one more time, a tornado warning is in effect for Franklin County as well as southern Lawrence County through 6:45 p.m. The cities that are in the location that are going to be impacted by this are Moulton, Newburgh, Hatton, Mount Hope, Colleybutt Springs, Speak, Caddo, Wren, and Landersville. So, Jason, this is a serious situation.
It is, and the possible tornado is on top of Moulton right now. This is passing Mount Hope very quickly, as we're seeing from the live radar. And I also want to mentioned, this storm that's up here in Lauderdale County, this thing is starting to rotate, and it is showing some signs of needing to be watched very, very, very closely. Lightning output has increased with that. We've also got quite a bit of lightning over here in the northern part of this storm that's up north of Moulton. So all of these storms have the potential to produce high winds, very large hail, not only high winds, but damaging winds, as well as tornadoes. We certainly believe that what came through Russellville just a little while ago was a tornado. It does look like it was relatively small compared to some that we've seen in the past, but it doesn't matter whether it's small or large. If it's affecting you, then we certainly want to be here to give you the latest information that we possibly can. I want to go to the Columbus radar and look at this from the back side, and as we're coming in, noticing those low-level shear locks are still there. So let's zoom in close and get a good look at this over the southern part of Lawrence County, eastern Franklin County. And look at that. I just noticed the shear lock that was up on the Lauderdale County storm. So we're going to go to that one here in just a moment. This is the sure thing. This is where we know that we've had damage. And I am certain that if you're in the city of Moulton, if I were in Moulton right now, I'd want to be in my safe place. If I were out here toward Caddo or Trinity, I would certainly want to be in my safe place, even though it's not a warning for Morgan County yet. From Trinity to Bassham, down toward Neal and Danville, it's going to be awfully close. So we've got the low-level shear lock on this thing right now. Tornado warning in effect until 6:45 for Lawrence County and Franklin County. But the danger to Franklin County from that storm has already passed. So the danger in Russellville has passed for the short term, although long term we still have a tornado watch in effect until 8 o'clock this evening. The storm of most concern at the moment is this one, and you can see that red ring spinning there. As we tilt the map up just a little bit, you can see the height of where that rotation is located, and because of where it is and because of what it has already done, we are fairly confident that there could be a tornado on the ground moving into the city of Moulton soon. And because it has been maintaining this circulation for so long, I certainly think there's a chance that it might maintain it all the way to Morgan County too. So if I'm in Morgan County, the west side of the county, I'm already thinking about where I'm going to go if a tornado warning is issued for Morgan County. Still a pretty tight couplet on that thing close to Mount Hope. That's the view from the Columbus radar. What I want to do is bounce up and look at this storm that is to the northeast of Florence in the Shoals area right now too. There's a lot of lightning showing up with that. There does appear to be some rotation with it. We're getting a shear lock with it. That's what that ring means. And shear, winds moving at different directions right next to each other. Think of it like scissors. When the scissors are moving at different, northeastern Lauderdale County is going to be moving over toward the east, and we're just going to put kind of a big track on this thing from the southwest edge of Giles County down to about St. Florine. Eastward, the progression on this at about 45 miles per hour. There you see where it's going. Lincoln County, northwest Madison County, northern Limestone County, southern Giles County, and northeastern Lauderdale County. Like I said, Anderson from around Lexington and Grassy down, say, County Road 52 to the Anderson area. Heavy storm coming your way, but the tornado warning is down here to our south. And we actually have two warnings in progress. One for southeastern Franklin County. This storm that is now southeast of the Phil Campbell area did have some signs of rotation with it. We don't have any confirmation that a tornado actually occurred there, but we do have damage reports coming from Russellville, and that's the storm that's moving into the city of Moulton as we speak. So let's go in close here to Moulton, and the signature seems to be wrapping up. Look at that. That is a classic hook echo right there. Moulton, I can't stress it enough. Like we said for Russellville, if you're in Moulton, I need you in a safe place right now. Lowest floor of your home, interior bathroom, closet, hallway, get away from the windows. If you're in a mobile home and you're east of Moulton, you need to get out of that mobile home. Don't get in your car and try to outrun this thing. That right there, downtown Moulton, that is where our possible tornado would be right now. So if you are in the city of Moulton, I want you in a safe place just as soon as you can possibly get there. That is a strong indication of a tornado right there where I've drawn that circle. And each time Armor comes around with that new sweep, we're tilting higher and higher in the storm. I still see more indication of that tornado being right there on top of Moulton. Wren, you're in the heavy rain, and there's probably some gusty winds down around, say, the Warrior Mountain store down there at the intersection in southern Lawrence County, but the tornado would be very close to Moulton. Christina.
Letting you know, Jason, that both Lauderdale County and Limestone counties now have severe thunderstorm warnings associated with them.
Okay, so let's bounce up and look at that very quickly, and we'll just kind of keep everything in the view here. Severe thunderstorm warning on that storm we were talking about just a few moments ago. Tornado warning on the storm in Lawrence County, and still a tornado warning for the storm in Franklin County, although that is technically set to expire at 6:45. It does include the southwestern part of Lawrence County, so most likely they will update this and remove Franklin County from it. The risk of a tornado in Franklin County is lower now than it was before these storms came through, but we still have some storms to the southwest over Mississippi that we're going to have to watch very closely. So we've got two storms that have warnings. One, a severe thunderstorm warning for Lauderdale County and northern Limestone County. And the second storm, really the primary storm that we're watching, is this one that is over Moulton right now, and it is moving to the northeast. And look at that. We're starting to see some hotter colors develop on Armour, and that means that this storm is likely intensifying quite a bit. So let me just kind of center this up and zoom in a little bit to show you where it is. And that is a classic-looking hook echo over Moulton. If I'm in downtown Moulton, if I'm in Wren, if I'm at Aldridge Grove in southeast Lawrence County, I want to be in my safe place right now. Highway 36 running right through there. Christina?
Lauderdale Limestone is now a tornado warning.
Okay, Lauderdale Limestone now a tornado warning. So we have what I think is probably a sure bet tornado very close to Moulton. I want you in a safe place. We're going to also bounce up, and I'm just going to move this view so that we can see both storms at the same time. And there you see, we're talking about those sector scans just a moment ago. See how the radar stopped and then scanned back the other direction. We're looking at two storms, so instead of spinning the radar all the way around, we're able to just look at it in one scan at a time and get a lot more data. So severe thunderstorm warning has now been upgraded to a tornado warning for northern Limestone County and northeastern parts of Lauderdale County until 6:30 p.m. So the tornado warning expires at 6:30 p.m. for Lauderdale County and Limestone County. I'm going to put a storm track on this. Christina, the speed on that is about 45 still?
Stand by. 45, that's correct.
Okay, we're still looking at about 45 miles per hour. So I'm just to give it the margin of error, I'm going to bring it to 50 miles per hour. This would be pretty close to the Bethel community, right on the county line between Limestone and Giles County at 6:23, Elkmont about 6:28, and Elkton in Giles County at about 6:35. So even though there's no tornado warning for Giles County, if this thing does try to make a little bit of a hook toward the left, they can do that sometimes. It may start to affect Giles County, although I really think it's mainly the southern part of this track where the storm would be most likely. We'll put these on here. Let's check out and see what the BTI is on this storm. There you see the times of arrival: Minor Hill, Bethel, Elkmont, Elkton. No BTI showing up on that one. Let's look at this one, and still nothing showing up there from the Barron Tornado Index. So it's rotating. I don't see a BTI on it at the moment from the Columbus NEXRAD, but still, if you were in northeastern Lauderdale County and the communities I called out a little while ago, from Grassy and Lexington southeast down across Anderson, and then over toward Mount Roselle, the Salem community, I want you to be in a safe place. If your children go to West Limestone High School, that tornado warning is for you. So I want you to go ahead and be in a safe place. Now, there are some communities that are south of, say, Highway 99 that are not technically in this warning. But just to be on the safe side, if you're in Limestone County and you got that Live Alert 19 message, if you got that message, it's time for you to take action, and it's time for you to go to your safe place. I'm going to turn those arrows back off again because it can get awfully cluttered. We don't want to clutter up the map with too much stuff. We want you to be able to see what's going on. And my goodness, looky there. The latest sweep from Armour shows us a distinct hook echo over in the eastern part of Lauderdale. So let's go in very, very close here and look at some of the county roads that are in the path of this. Anderson, it's right on top of you right now. Fish Creole Restaurant. right there off of 207. That's where we're talking about. So this thing has already moved to the southeast of Lexington, and it's now on top of Anderson, moving into the northwestern edge of Limestone County. I'm going to kind of straighten up the map here for you just a little bit to make sure that everything looks up to par, and we're going to go in close here and look at some of the county roads that are going to be impacted by this storm. You see there the Powell community, we've got a tornado warning in effect. Let me back up one more time. Let's just kind of go to the big view and give you everything here at one time. Tornado warning in effect until 6:30 for Lauderdale County and for Limestone County. Now let's zoom in close and get some of the county roads to pop on here in the northeastern part of Lauderdale County. Very, very distinct signature right there on top of Anderson. State Route 207. In this part of the world, we call that Alabama 207. So from Anderson eastward across 207, just north of the Fish Creel, County Road 156, County Road 155, over to the Ridgeway Mill community. And look at that. See, we're tilting up higher in the atmosphere. You've got low-level clear right there. That's where a tornado would be. And then up here, the updraft is tilted down toward the southeast a little bit. That's why it looks a little bit weird as we're looking at two scans. But as that upper level scan goes away, you can clearly see the low level scan there. And then look, there comes the next scan. We've got what we call a bounded weak echo region, a beware, showing up. And when you have one of those, there is almost a guarantee that there's a tornado down on the ground. Now, I can't see it with radar. I can't see if there's an actual tornado there with radar. But I certainly, given that kind of a look, I would imagine that there probably is one there. Looking at the correlation coefficient, this is where we would start looking for debris. It is somewhat noisy right here on Armour. Christina, you had something to add? That's exactly what I was going to say. The previous scan that we had looked pretty confident that we did see something from the correlation coefficient. Right, and remember, the possible tornado would be right about there. That could be it right there. That could be some debris just northeast of Anderson, and as it's kind of being blown up here toward Leicester and toward Mount Roselle and Ridgeway Mill. This is passing just north of Cherry Grove. Even though Cherry Grove is in the warning, the possible tornado would be a little bit to your north, most likely. So we're seeing different scans of the radar come around. Let's go back to our reflectivity product, and we'll just kind of stop the map and zoom in right here in northeastern Lauderdale County and northwestern Limestone County. So from Anderson across Highway 207, County Road 155, I'm confident that there is a good chance there's a tornado on the ground right here that is tracking over toward the northeast. So let me zoom the map out just a little bit, and we'll get a better view of what's going on here by kind of bouncing out and then coming back in. So there's our second tornado, what I think is the second tornado that's involved right now. We've also got what's going on down here in Lawrence County that is tracking over toward the Morgan County line. So let's go to Lawrence County first. We'll do a storm track on the storm that is approaching the Moulton area. That's actually passing east of Moulton now. Have not heard of any damage in Moulton, and that's a good thing, because that thing looked like it was certainly wrapped up pretty tight, and it still looks like it's wrapped up even now that it's east of Moulton. That is Alabama Highway 157. This is Alabama Highway 36. That's Highway 33 coming from Moulton down to Wren, and then down into the Bankhead National Forest, down into Winston County from there. Our possible tornado that was affecting the Moulton area is now east of Moulton. There's a lot of lightning in Lawrence County with this, but our tornado would be away from the lightning over in this area right here, likely just east of the city of Moulton at this point. And it's still tracking to the east, northeast at about 45 miles per hour. We're going to look at this from the Columbus radar, and we'll look at the velocity product. That looks a lot noisier than it did earlier, but I still think there is certainly potential there for a tornado that was near downtown Moulton to be over here just north of Speake, just north of Oakville, off of Highway 157, approaching the Morgan County line. So I would not be surprised if at any moment we saw a tornado warning issued for the western edge of Morgan County. And look at that. This thing up here in Lauderdale County and Limestone County has really ramped up. Christina, go ahead. Yeah, absolutely, Jason. As you jog up towards the north there, do you want to report that a train spotter is reporting a wall cloud southeast of Lexington, Alabama. He's observing it from the backside along Alabama 60
64. So we do have trained spotters out observing the sky to see what we're seeing, because the radar is able to tell us one thing, but we need the ground truth. So Jason, again, the trained spotter is reporting a wall cloud southeast of Lexington, Alabama, observing it from the backside along AL 64.
Okay, so there's Lexington right there. The circulation has now passed east of Lexington. It takes a little time for this information to come in from the storm spotters, but there's Lexington, there's Anderson, there's Highway 207. So this thing is now moving into Limestone County out of Lauderdale County, and it certainly has the earmarks of something that could produce a tornado. Matter of fact, let's look at it from Armor again and kind of get that low-level scan on where the storm is right now. Our circulation is now well east of Anderson, and remember, I've got Lexington circled because that's where the report came from. Southeast of Lexington, that would have put this right at that spot at that time. That was also the time that we were noting it really start to ramp up, and now that it has moved out of that storm spotter's view, I wouldn't be surprised if there's not a tornado down in northwestern Limestone County right now. So let's kind of go in a little bit tighter here and show you some of the county roads that are potentially going to be affected by this. County Road 11A, Flanagan, Sinyard Road, Lester Road around Mount Roselle, Shortcut Road, Minor Hill Road, County Road 25, County Road 35, County Road 124. So really all the communities that are between Cherry Grove and Mount Roselle and the Salem community, and then up here around Lester. Of course, the northwest part of Limestone County is pretty well mostly served by the Lester post office box. So if your address is Lester, you may not live in the community of Lester, but that may be your post office address. And in this case, this is a pretty compact storm that's going to be awfully close to Lester proper, where you would consider the community of Lester to be on the map. High elevation, we still see on that higher scan, look at there, right over top of Sinyard Road, County Road 11. That spot right there is where I would expect a tornado to move based on what we're seeing from the low levels all the way up here toward the mid levels. There's a good chance that there could be a tornado down there. We'll go over to our correlation coefficient. And again, this is just looking at the difference between what might be rain and what might be debris. I don't see anything right here that really jumps out. A lot of this right here is just clear air. Maybe some dust, might be some clouds and some insects kind of flying out ahead of the storm. Right there is where the possible tornado would be, and nothing is just jumping off the screen right now as being a tornado debris signature, but we are watching it very, very closely. Let's get a view of this from high top, and we're getting a little bit closer to it as well. It's got a low-level lock and a high-level, actually two low-level locks on this. So let me tilt the map back, and you just can kind of see where the rotation is. You've got that donut hole right there. There you see Minor Hill, Tennessee. Lester is right in here. There you see the community of Lester. This is just southwest of Lester, coming up to Mount Roselle. So this area in northwestern Limestone County, you have a possible tornado. I would say 90% chance. There's a tornado on the ground right there. So let's track that out. And again, that was the brand new sweep from high top. Still a very strong looking signature, and it's moving like this right here. So let's pull that on out. You can see Bethel by about 6:30. And again, you can see we've got Lexington circled over there. What I'm going to do is tilt the map back to a more standard looking view so that it's a bit easier to see. And we're just going to kind of zoom out a little bit and pull this track out farther than we did just a moment ago so that you can see where it is in relation to Elkmont. Remember, tornado warning, Limestone County and northwestern parts of Lauderdale County, although the Lauderdale County part of the warning has been dropped by the National Weather Service. We still have the warning for northern Limestone County. Here comes the track. At about 40 to 45 miles per hour, this should affect the northwest edge of Madison County right around, say, 6:30 to 7 p.m. So Cache Point, Tennessee sits right there. There you see Taft. There you see Bobo, Tony, Harvest. I think if this stays on that current track, it's probably going to miss Harvest and Tony to the north, but it may come right between Bobo and Taft. I think it's moving almost due east at this point. Large hail is possible, strong damaging straight line winds, and the threat of a tornado. Let's back out here here and go back down to our Lawrence County storm. And again, we're looking at this from high top right now. We're going to switch back and forth between high top and our live radar as we keep watching these through the remainder of the evening. Heavy rain and hail starting to move into Morgan County. We've got the back edge of this that was near Moulton just a few moments ago. Let's kind of go in tight here and show you where it is right now with live armor radar. I think the tornado would be more along the lines of just north of Speake and Oakville, approaching the Morgan County line. So let's go over here to armor and we'll pop in the reflectivity values so that it's easier to see where the live position of the storm is. And look at all that lightning. While the radar is beginning to populate, you can see the red box there. That's where we have a tornado warning in effect for Lawrence County. We'll also look at the correlation coefficient, see if we see anything there. We'll also look at it from Columbus and check out the view. This is what it looks like from Columbus, Mississippi. You can still see a pretty strong indication of rotation here between Moulton and Speake, moving toward the northeast. And I'm going to put the storm track where I believe the tornado is right now based on the live data. That would be between Speake and Moulton, moving to the northeast or just a little bit north of due east at about 45 miles per hour. That's going to get it through central Morgan County. So if you're around Hartselle or Priceville or Neal or Somerville, all points in between here, you need to be thinking about where you're going to go if a tornado warning is required for Morgan County, because it's only a matter of minutes before the National Weather Service is going to have to make that determination as to where we go from here. So there again, the reflectivity, that's what we can actually see with the radar, the rain pattern, the pattern of where hail may be falling. As far as debris goes, we're not seeing a debris signature at this moment. The shear rate, as we look at this, we just kind of strip away all of the other data and look at the amount of shear in the atmosphere. You see that hot spot down there just to the southeast of Moulton. It doesn't look as intense as it did a little bit earlier, but still there is enough there to be concerned. If I'm in southeastern Lawrence County, from Speake north to Oakville, and then really all the way up to the city limits of Moulton, I want to be in my safe place. If you're in Moulton or Mount Hope or Hatton or Neesmith, Calebit, the tornado warning has not been canceled, but the threat of a tornado in those communities has passed for the short term. Until you see the tornado watch drop for your location, there is not going to be an all clear given. We do not give all clears for the night, but what we'll do is tell you you're clear from a specific storm. And in this case, from Moulton, Northwest, Hatton, Neesmith, Mount Hope, Muck City, and Youngtown, the threat has passed you for the time being. Let's go up to the north again and look at our storm over northwestern Limestone County. You can see the shear path on that based on what we're seeing from high top, from Columbus, Mississippi. Still pretty significant shear. I think we're probably going to get a better look at this from high top, though. So let's go to that source and pull in the shear rate product. This is the instantaneous shear, and that looks pretty high over the northwest edge of Limestone County, moving up toward Giles County, Tennessee. So we're going to go in very close here and just kind of inspect that. And you see right there around the community called Scarce Grease, Gordesville, Legtown. Some of these are old names for communities that they're not called that way anymore. It's just how the mapping software puts it on. So if you see something that you don't recognize, it may be an older name for that community or a landmark that might still be there that most folks maybe in the last 20 years haven't ever heard of. So Gordesville, Bethel, Legtown, Mount Roselle, that's where this possible tornado would be in northwestern Limestone County. Everything you see on radar is moving to the east at about 45 miles per hour. So let's just kind of back the view out a little bit here and give you a view of what's going on area-wide in northern Limestone County. And by the way, this is not affecting Athens. It looks like it could come close to Elkmont, though. So if you're in Elkmont, I want you to go ahead and be in your safe place. If you're in Athens, we're watching this pass by to the north. I wouldn't recommend going out and trying to see it because now the sun getting lower in the sky, it hasn't quite set just yet, but you're not likely going to be able to see that much. Although what we can see there with our shear rate product, it certainly looks like it still could be producing a tornado. This is where it's been over the past 30 minutes. You can see it came out of the Lexington area and then tracked across the northern part of Limestone County. Each time those little red marks are there, that's where the shear really spun up and where there may end up being some tornado damage in northwestern Limestone County or northeastern Lauderdale County. Let's go down to the south again and check out what's going on in Lawrence County, moving toward western Morgan County. And look at the shear rate over the past couple of hours here. You can see this big storm that came out and then ultimately impacted Russellville. It almost turned a right hook into Franklin County. So this is where our damage path is that came right through Russellville, and now that is on top of Moulton. It looks like the shear has weakened some, which is an encouraging sign, but it certainly does not mean that the threat is over. We've got tornado warning still in effect for Limestone County, a tornado warning still in effect for Lawrence County, and a tornado warning technically in effect for Franklin County, although the tornadic part of that storm has moved out of Franklin County into Lawrence County. And again, this product is called Shear Path. It shows us where the storm has been, and the easternmost point is where it is right now. So what we can do is go back to Armor and try to look at that reflectivity product again. Looks like we're still doing a couple of sector scans with that. So let's go back over here to Columbus and hit the reflectivity button. I still see potential here. I still see potential. There's a good reason to be in your safe place if you are in Lawrence County or even western Morgan County, because we still have that shear lock on there. If I turn off the lightning, you can see those rings. Those rings indicate where we're seeing some shear in the lowest part of the atmosphere. Good chance that there's rotation there. And given the fact that this is the storm that produced the damage over around Russellville, I would be extra cautious about this as it starts to move into western Morgan County. I want to go over to Ben Smith here for just a moment. Ben, I know you've been tracking social media. You've been looking at the things that have been reported. Kind of give us a rundown on what's happening right now.
Well, at this point, we're still kind of waiting on confirmation there for the Moulton storm. I mean, that's the same one that came through Russellville, and of course, Gabrielle was out there earlier with the significant damage there. Still waiting for some confirmation if that particular storm is on the ground or not in Moulton. A lot of storm spotters out there, and we will continue to watch that system as it moves down to the south and east. But if you're in Hartselle, if you're in Danville on the west side of Decatur as well, there's some very heavy rainfall, likelihood of more hail here. There's some rotation there. The tornado warning continues for that system. And, of course, that donut hole Jason was just talking about there in northern Limestone County, about to get into Giles County. People up there really need to be in their safe place over the next, say, 30 minutes or so until that system moves up to the north. And even folks around Fayetteville, these are long track tornadoes. You have to remember that rotation that was in Moulton was the same one that was over eastern Mississippi. It was, I think it was over an hour ago now. So here's a look at Elkton. There's I-65 through Giles County on the north side of Elkmont there near Lester. We talked about West Limestone High School there. And what you're seeing there, that is a lock. It's an actual rotation there in the upper levels of the atmosphere. If it's on the ground or not, that's something we just don't know. The thing about a tornado warning, it's either rotation spotted by the radar, or someone actually sees it, and that's what we have going on right there. What you're looking at here is the base velocity, and what you're seeing here are winds blowing in opposite directions, and there's still a little bit of rotation going there near Bethel, near Elkmont, and there's the storm track there. Ardmore at 639, Cache Point, which is up there in southern middle Tennessee, at 643, and we're talking about Taft there at 649. That's another 24 minutes or so as these storms are moving quickly up to the north and east at about 40 to 50 miles per hour. Likelihood of some significant hail here around Elkton, right across the state line, near the Welcome Center there in Giles County. So once again, heavy rainfall. The Ardmore Highway, which is Tennessee 110, that runs all the way up through Fayetteville. Obviously, we don't want anyone on that highway at this point. Now, there's technically not a tornado warning for Lincoln County, but if it were me, Well, we just got looks like we got another extension there, Jason. Is this a new?
We've got a couple of new tornado warnings.
Yeah.
Tornado warning issued for Lincoln County, Tennessee, Limestone County, and Madison County until 7 o'clock. Also a new tornado warning for Coleman, Lawrence, and Morgan until 7 o'clock. So we've got two storms that are potentially producing tornado damage right now. One coming out of Lawrence County into Morgan County and and I'm talking far northern Cullman County. It does not include the city of Cullman, doesn't include Jones Chapel or Berlin or Holly Pond. We've also got the storm that's up here that Ben has been talking about. So I think it's best maybe if we leave these on the big view so that we can see both of them at the same time. Tornado warning extended into Madison County and Lincoln County until 7. Tornado warning extended for Morgan County and Cullman County also until 7 o'clock. Both of these storms look very, very vicious at this moment. The storm that's up here north of Athens that Ben was talking about has had a history of radar signatures that look very, very significant. It would not surprise me at all if we don't start hearing some reports of trees down from northwestern Limestone County. And then we also have the storm that is moving into Morgan County as we speak. So let's kind of look at this from high top and get the view of what's going on. Again, this is high top reflectivity. We've got this massive high precipitation supercell. HP, that's what we call it in the weather world. That means it's raining so hard that you're probably not going to see anything. If you were watching when meteorologist Gabrielle Diebler was in Storm Hunter 19 with Shane Hayes in Russellville, they couldn't see the tornado because it was raining so hard, but they could see the effect of it with debris flying. We could see a lot of the effects of it, but you could not see the tornado. In the same case goes for Morgan County, Cullman County, as well as Madison County and Lincoln County. In both those storms, I don't think there's much chance that you're actually going to be able to see the tornado. Let's go here from northern Limestone County, just northwest of Elkmont, and follow this out on a track of about roughly 50 miles per hour. There you see some of the times of arrival. Ardmore, Cache Point, Bobo in northwest Madison County about 6:46. New Sharon, Hazel Green between 6:51 and 6:56. The storm that is a little bit farther down to the south, that one is really about to affect communities like Hartselle, Danville, Falkville, and then it seems to be moving a bit to the southeast. It's taken that right-hand turn. Remember, this thing started out in Russellville, and now it has kind of made this turn southeast of Moulton. So the motion on it has changed a bit. It's what we call a right mover. So that storm, and what I'm going to try to do is keep both of these in the view so they're easy to see. Tornado warning for Morgan and Cullman in effect until 7 o'clock. I'm going to put a storm track on this so that you can get a view of where it is traveling, and we're going to pull this down toward the east-southeast at about 50 miles per hour. So Falkville, Vinemont, technically the town's name is South Vinemont. That's where Vinemont High School sits, where the big water tower is, Vinemont High School, the old skating rink. Odin Ridge in southeast Morgan County around 6:53. Eva at about 6:54. And then down the line, of course, if this thing keeps on that track, we'll have to be talking about places like Fairview, Bayleton, Arab, and Joppa in the northern part of Cullman County, too, where we've had a long history with these things across that part of Brindley Mountain in northeastern Cullman, southeastern Morgan, and then over toward Marshall County, too. So we'll keep an eye on both of these. So now that you've seen both, we're going to go in tight. I'm going to spend just a couple of minutes talking about each of them individually. So let's go to Limestone, Madison, and Lincoln counties first. And there's the donut hole. There is most likely a tornado on the ground near Elkmont. If you're in Elkmont, can't stress it enough, you need to be in your safe place right now. Same thing goes for Ardmore, and I would even say for Elkton, Tennessee, for Bobo, for the north end of Tony. Look at this. It does not include Harvest or Tony itself, the intersection there at Tony, right off of Old Railroad Bed Road, but it does include Bobo. It does include Taft and Cache Point in southwest Lincoln County, and it also includes the city of Hazel Green and New Sharon. So communities in northwest Madison County, we've got a tornado potentially on the ground, given the way it looks on radar. I'm going to track it for you. And remember, this is the next rad, so the tornado is probably a bit more over here. So I'm going to start the storm track right there, just north of Elkmont, and bring this at a clip of about 45 to 46 miles per hour into the Hazel Green area, to Bobo at about 6:46, Hazel Green at about 6:57. So you've got about 20 minutes in Hazel Green, to get to your safe place. If that means you're leaving your home or a mobile home to go to a shelter, you've got 20 minutes. If you can't do it in 20 minutes, you need to find a different plan. There's the newest sweep, and like I said, that's right about where that track starts, so I think that's going to be pretty good estimate. 652 New Sharon, 648 at Taft. So here's the deal. It's not going to hit Taft and Tony. This is the path. Notice how it fans out here. That's for uncertainty in the storm track. These storms don't always move in a straight line. Like I was explaining just a few minutes ago about the Russellville storm, it seemed to hook toward the right after it produced the tornado there in Russellville. This one seems to be moving almost more due east, so I really think it's more of a Limestone, Madison deal. But Taft and Cache Point and Ardmore, even the Giles County side of Ardmore, you may not have gotten the alert on the Giles County side of town, but you need to be in a safe place too. You've got big hail about to move into Ardmore. Big hail is about to cross I-65. And speaking of I-65, nobody should be driving on Interstate 65 north of Athens or south of let's say the Elkton exit. If you're there around, I believe it's exit 6 in southern Tennessee in Giles County, the Highway 31 exit, I would pull off right there because you're about to run through some hail. If you were trying to drive up north from Athens, pull off before you get to Elkmont. Because this thing is just on the north side of Elkmont. We don't want you driving right into it. Please do not be driving on I-65 until this thing is east. And then pretty soon we're going to be talking about a travel advisory along Highway 231, 431 through northern Madison County too. I wouldn't recommend driving anywhere within this tornado warning. But if you're listening to us on WDRM right now simulcasting, I would not be on I-65 north of Athens or south of Elkton, Tennessee. If you're listening to us coming down from, say, the Cornersville exit, stop where you are. Even if you can't get off on an exit, don't get all the way to Elkton before you pull off because you're going to run through some big-time hail. And look, that's not an easy stretch of I-65 to drive on a good day, let alone on a day when you've got this thing coming over you. So don't try to come up the hill. Don't come out of that Elk River Valley up into Limestone County. Stay down at Elkton before you start coming up the ridge. There's the new sweep coming around. The storm track still looks to be about right where it should be. Bobo, we're still talking about 646. Hazel Green at 657. All right, let's go down to our Morgan County storm and focus on that for just a couple of minutes, and then we'll just kind of bounce back and forth between the two. This storm is very, very high precipitation. It started out as a storm that looked more like this one up to the north, but now it has a tremendous amount of rain and potentially hail with it falling around Hartselle and Falkville. Christina.
Confirmed golf ball size hail in Neal. So that's 1 3/4 inch size hail in Neal. So yes, confirmed that large hail is falling.
Right, and that bears to reason with the way the radar looks right now. We've seen very large hail in Neal, which sits right about there close to Danville. You can see the Penn community. There's where the rotation is, and I'm going to step over here and turn these rotating rings off so that it's easier to see the radar data. Those are great to give us a tip, a little clue as to where things are. Let's see. We're starting to see a few reports come in that a tornado may be occurring in Morgan County. So let's be very vigilant in what we're talking about here and use our time wisely. A tornado may be occurring in Morgan County right now. We don't know exactly where, but we're starting to hear some chatter about that on social media. So just out of an abundance of caution, remember, we've got a tornado watch in effect. Multiple tornado warnings are in effect. And as you saw there just a moment ago from the live reflectivity from Armor, we've seen the big hail come through Neal. Now that's over here close to Hartselle. And there's where it would be. Right there. There's where the possible tornado would be. If it is there, it would be totally wrapped up in rain and tough to see. Christina?
I'm looking at what we would call the velocity data as this storm approaches I-65 just south of Lacon, just south of Falkville.
Lacon.
Yeah. That is a 75-mile-per-hour wind, if you will, that is being detected on radar. So that is a very strong wind. If it's not a circulation, it's at least a very strong wind gust that is moving on through. And again, that is going to be be right about on 65, just south of Lakin, just north of South Vinemont. And again, that's the Doppler picking up wind speeds as high as 70 to 85 miles per hour. So again, if you're between the locations of Lakin and South Vinemont, you need to be ready.
All right, and so we're looking at some of the shear products off of Armor right here. This is that base velocity, and as we go up in the storm, those are going to get a little bit higher and a little bit higher, but this is where the rotation would be. Falkville, Lacon, coming across Highway 31 and I-65. This is down in the valley. When you come off of Brindley Mountain in North Coleman County, you come down, you see the big cuts in the rock from where they built I-65 years ago. The tornado would be in that valley, very close to Lacon Trade Day, moving toward the east, toward Eva. So if you're around Eva in southeast Morgan County, remember, tornado warning is in effect until 7 o'clock this evening. And because of that, we are going to be here with you through the entire thing. I'm going to go back to the reflectivity product, a little bit easier to see. And what we're seeing here is a sector scan. So the beam's going to come back around and show us exactly what we're trying to see. But our possible tornado close to Falkville and Lacon, down in the valley. It's off the mountain. You can even see the terrain right here. That's Hurricane Creek in North Coleman County. And then you drop off of Brindley Mountain, and there's where our possible tornado would be, right there. You can even see the donut hole right over Falkville. Because we're looking at this at an angle, remember, it might be a little farther south of that point. Ben.
All right, my buddy Dwayne Adamson, he lives down there in Falkville in the Lacon area. He said he's seeing the tornado. So
okay, confirmed tornado.
He's got it. By family.
Okay, confirmed tornado, confirmed funnel in South Morgan County from this storm. It was right there. Now it has started to move over here a little bit closer into the Falkville area and Lacon. So let's put a storm track on this for you. The storm located right there near I-65 in the valley, moving to the east at about 45 miles per hour. So I'm going to pull it all the way out to the edge of the screen. There you see some of the times of arrival. If it holds together, Hogjaw, Ruth, Arab, Ulako, you're going to ultimately be in the path of this. Gum Pond in southeast Morgan County at about 6:55. Eva at 6:48. I think this is probably going to stay just right on the county line, if not a little bit north. Matter of fact, that looks like it right there. I mean, that is the county line, so the tornado is very, very close to the county line. If it starts to drift a little bit more toward the southeast, then we run into that same issue that we were talking about earlier with that more southeast motion, where it's not following that normal southwest to northeast movement that these big supercells often do in the springtime. This one would be more along the lines of what we call just a right mover, and it is extremely high precipitation. There is large hail falling right here around Hartselle and Falkville on Highway 31. Don't be driving on I-65 between Coleman and Hartselle until this thing has passed. We know we have a confirmed tornado here, so what we're going to do is just kind of look at both of these storms at the same time. I wouldn't be surprised at all if we have two confirmed tornadoes on the ground. I know that there's this one in Morgan County. What I don't know about a report in Limestone County moving toward northwest Madison County. Let me tilt the map for you just a little bit so that it's a bit easier to see so that you're the same distance from both storms, really. And the storm that is approaching northwest Madison County, if you're up around Bobo or New Sharon or Hazel Green, I want you to be in a safe place right now. Same thing goes for Morgan County. What is a safe place? It's the lowest point in your house. If you have a basement, go there. But don't go near, if you have a split-level house where the basement door is open to the outside, that's not where you need to be. You need to be under the stairs or in a closet or in a room in that basement, far away from windows, and in a small room especially, because that would be the strongest point. And if you live in a house where you only have a first floor, be on the first floor. Or if you have a second floor, come down to the first floor. In both cases, in northwest Madison County, northeastern Limestone, southwest Lincoln, as well as Morgan and Coleman. North Coleman County, north of Vinemont, toward Falkville and Lacon, and then over toward Eva, Gum Pond, and Odin Ridge. We have a confirmed tornado that is near Falkville, that has been near Falkville, that has now moved over toward the east. So two storms in progress. Let's track both of them out for you. We've got one here in northern Limestone County that's almost moving due east, and we'll put that at about 48 miles per hour. Now, you see some of these towns up here in Lincoln County, that fan gets pretty wide out there toward the end. I think you may get some hail and some strong winds around Vantown and Crystal Springs, Cortez Crossroads, but it's really Bobo, New Sharon, Hazel Green, and all points in between. I would even include Tony in that, even though Tony is the intersection there. The Tony intersection is not in the warning, but there are a lot of neighborhoods around Tony on the north side of the intersection. I want you to be in your safe place. Even though Tony proper might not be showing up in the storm track, you're still awfully close to this, and I want you to be safe. Our second storm that is down to the south is this one that's near Falkville, that's now east of Falkville, moving toward Eva, Cold Spring, and potentially the far northern edge of Cullman County too. So if I'm around Gold Ridge or Ethy, then I'm starting to get a bit concerned about that as well. There you see some of the times of arrival. Bayleton about 7:03. Ryan in southeast Morgan County at 7:03. Huleko about 7:04. Hogjaw in Marshall County at 7:06. And Union Grove at about 7:08. So I've got two storms. They are splitting the difference around the Huntsville area right now. There's a big gap, but we're still watching for additional development. Christina.
Spotter reporting a wall cloud on the ground, so take that what you think it is. It could be a tornado, or maybe they just can't see the interface between the wall cloud and the ground, but that's near Ardmore. That's per spotters in the area. Okay, so we've got a lot of storm spotters in the area today, working with Vortex Southeast. Our friends over at UAH doing research, and look at this. That thing is wrapped up. You said it was near Ardmore, Christina? Correct.
Okay, so it was near Ardmore. There we have Storm 119, and I'm not sure where they are. It looks like they're in Limestone County. Is that right? Is that close to Huntsville, Browns Ferry Road? Okay, so that was, they're right there, Huntsville, Browns Ferry Road going north. I think that the best route for them may be to cut over 251. If they can, because it's going to outrun them on I-65. By the way, the travel on I-65, if you stopped north of Elkton, then you can start traveling south again. If you had stopped in Athens waiting to go north, this thing's going to be off I-65 in a matter of 30 seconds to a minute. That's how fast it's moving. Let's go to Ben.
All right, my buddy Dwayne, he just said he's inside the storm now. He has hail hitting his car hard, golf ball size hail. He said it's pitch black. He can't see a thing, and he's right around Lacon. Significant lightning at this point. So he said he's just in a really tough spot. So, Dwayne, you need to get off the road. And he just sent me a photo now, and it's black. So,
yeah, you're not going to be able to see much with these storms that we have right now, especially this one. The one in southern Morgan County that is on I-65 right now. It is going to be really, really tough to see that thing. Let's look at this from the perspective of some of our shear markers and skits and look at some of the radar attributes on this and see what we've got. You can see the storm track there. The BTI on this is all the way up to 3. The hail size potentially as high as 2 inches. So let me see, get those boxes separated. It's moving to the east-northeast at 50. I think it's probably moving a little bit more toward the east or east-southeast, so take that for what you will. The radar wants to pull it this way. The storm seems to be hugging the county line, if not trying to move a little bit to the south of the Morgan-Cullman County line. Let's take this information off. Remember, there's a tornado warning in effect for Morgan and Cullman until 7 o'clock. There's also a tornado warning in effect for Madison County and Lincoln County until 7 o'clock. The storm is beginning to move out of Limestone County, northwest Madison County. You need to be in a safe place right now. Ben.
All right, visibility 0 going down Lacon Mountain from my buddy Dwayne. I also got another report from my friend Pamela, lives out in Russellville. She said there is damage all the way up and down Highway 43. She said the Alabama Central Credit Union, the Jacks, the Waffle House, Aiken's Funeral Home. She said there is some damage in some spots. Others may have just a little bit, but bottom line is the power is out all across town too, and this is Russellville, so those reports continue to come on in.
All right, and this again, northwest Madison County, southern Lincoln County, northeastern Limestone County. This will be past Ardmore in a matter of a couple of minutes, and as we continue to get reports in, we're just going to kind of go round robin. So if you see a report, just go ahead and speak up, because I'm kind of focused focused in here on the radar. Let's go ahead and go to Christina.
Yeah, while you're on that particular part of the geography, I want to report that we have half-dollar size hail in Ardmore. So if it's not a tornado coming through, you're still going to get potentially some hail damage with the large hail coming down.
All right, so half-dollar size hail reported in Ardmore. And look, most of the large hail is happening in southern Tennessee. There might be a little bit on the Limestone County side here, but most of the really big hail now is close to Cache Point. That's Tennessee Highway 110 right there, Ardmore Highway. Then that comes up here toward Taft, and then you see the community of Blanche right there. So the hail is falling over Lincoln County. The possible tornado would be in the northwest or the northeastern edge of Limestone County or northwestern Madison County. I'm going to just kind of move the map a little bit and get a view here that we can kind of see a little bit better. The general motion of these storms has been toward the east or just a little bit north of east at about 45 miles per hour. So let's just kind of back out a little bit, and I'm going to tilt the map slightly so that the storm track will show up slightly better. Again, that is State Line Road. That's the border between Limestone County and Lincoln County. This is Giles County over here. There's Elkton. So I-65 is now a clear drive from Cornersville all the way to Athens. Now that this storm has passed, if you had pulled off waiting on the all clear, you have it now, the all clear from this storm. The tornado watch, as long as that tornado watch is in effect, we do not give all clear for any single county until the National Weather Service does that. So a tornado warning in effect for northwestern Madison County, southeastern Lincoln County. We're going to put a storm track on this for you. Remember, moving to the east at about 45. I think the tornado is right there just to the northwest of Bobo. And let me try that one more time. I didn't quite get it all the way across to the point where it needed to be. But the storm track here that you're going to see is going to take you at 45 miles per hour for about a half hour into the future. So there's 48 miles per hour. On that path, we're still talking Hazel Green, New Sharon, Bobo, Howell Hill, the Lincoln community, South Lincoln Elementary School, Flintville, Elora. Let me put it this way. If you live, I would say north of Oscar Patterson Road, if you live north of Oscar Patterson Road in Madison County, you are close enough to this that you may want to go ahead and consider going through your tornado safety plan. That's north of that road. If you live north of Hazel Green High School, it is almost a necessity that you go through your tornado safety plan. This thing is producing large hail, and it has for quite some time shown a very distinct signature that a tornado could be occurring at just about any moment. Here's the velocity product. Wow, look at that. That is a very strong indication of a tornado just northwest of Bobo. I'm going to draw it out for you. You've got the strong inbound right here, and pretty strong outbound showing up right there. That is a strong indication of a wrapped-up tornado that would be approaching Bobo right now, and it looks like it's more on the Madison County side of the fence as opposed to the Lincoln County side. But from Taft to Bobo, you need to be in a safe place now. You don't have any time. If you are around Hazel Green or the Fisk community or Lincoln or Park City, or even right here, right around the State Line Church, I want you to go ahead and be in a safe place too. It doesn't. The warning doesn't go all the way to Highway 231, but let me just go ahead and say this too. If you're planning on traveling between Fayetteville and Huntsville, I want you to go ahead and put that off until this storm passes. And I'll tell you just about when it's going to pass. That's where the tornado would be right now. I'm going to pull it out 45 miles per hour. So this thing should be crossing Highway 231 at roughly about, let's see, give it about 15 minutes, so about 7:05. That thing should be crossing Highway 231 at 7:05. Large hail will be falling over southern Tennessee, and you can see the velocity product here. Very wrapped up signature over northwestern Madison County. Christina.
Storm that you're talking about has a history of producing trees down, power poles snapped, lines down on Legtown Road. This is in the Elkmont area. Limestone County Sheriff's Office deputy is reporting these items. Potentially a patrol car was totally destroyed. Trees came down around the Bucks Hollow Road area, and trees down blocking the road along Alabama 127. Also want to point out, Jason, at 6:48, so about 2 minutes ago, tornado warning was issued for not only Coleman but but now Marshall as well as Morgan counties.
All right, and that goes until 7:15. Just saw that at the same time. All of northeast Coleman County under a tornado warning now until 7:15 p.m. The National Weather Service also putting a severe thunderstorm warning out, including the city of Coleman, for more storms that are not really showing signs of rotation out over Winston County and northwest Coleman County that are moving southeast. And you can kind of get the idea here where we're going with this as it keeps on tracking to the east. We've got these two distinct storms. We talked about this earlier when we were doing Facebook Lives and blog posts and everything else, that there will be gaps in between the storms today. Some of them will be on the ground, potentially producing tornadoes for several miles, and there will be some places that barely get rain this evening. That's just how this is working, and it appears that our storm that is most dominant is this one that's down here to the south. We've got a possible tornado very close to Eva that's moving southeast toward Hulako, toward Bayleton, and toward Gold Ridge in Coleman County. And we also note that the city of Arab, Scant City, Grassy, down toward New Canaan and Coleman County have been added to this tornado warning. Hulako, Floret, Ryan, and all points in between, Gum Pond and Eva, also in this tornado warning. Let's put the storm track on here. Tornado would be very close to Eva, coming through Eva and Odin Ridge, and I'm going to move this to the southeast just a little bit. That's going to get it into Arab at about 7:13 p.m. That's it right there. It's pretty easy to see in Armor if you know what you're looking for, and that hook right there that's just to the west of Eva. Let me illustrate that out for you. This area right here, that's the hook echo, and that's where the possible tornado would be. Very, very close to the city of Eva. So we've got this wrapped up look on live Armor radar, and that is moving to the east toward Hulako, toward Arab. And you just saw those times. I'll put them up for you again in just a second. But look at this. Look at all those different arrows we have. A lot of stuff going on in the atmosphere that the radar is trying to go through and look at and tell us what it sees. From looking at the raw data, it's able to put some different algorithms on it, an algorithm, a method of analyzing the storm. So as we look at these, like this orange one right here, that tells us the hail potentially as big as 2 inches. There you see some of the times. Hulako at about 7:10, Hogjaw at 7:13, Arab at about 7:13. Now let's turn those lines back off, and again, that's where our possible tornado would be. This is the lowest scan, that little area where there's no rain falling. I think that's where the possible tornado would be at this moment, and it is moving over toward the east. There comes the new scan in. There's our possible tornado. Large hail now approaching Hulako from Gum Pond, coming across Alabama Highway 67. That's going to be an Arab very, very soon. Let's just kind of bounce out here and get both storms in the view. The storm that is to the north in northern Madison County, that one still shows signs that it is still pretty wrapped up. And we're getting a clear shot at that thing with Armor right now. So let's look at the velocity product. We're not, the one to the north, amazingly, is not the same kind of really high precipitation supercell that we have down to the south. This is more of a classic looking supercell. That's just kind of textbook talk for the kind of storms that we're dealing with. But let's go in tight here and look and see what we can see in northwestern Madison County with this storm with live Armor radar. And yeah, we still do see signs of rotation here. The correlation coefficient, a little bit noisy, but there might be a spot right there where some debris could be lofted into the air. That's a little bit to the east of where I think the possible tornado would be at this moment. But as we look at the reflectivity, you see, that's where it is. So I think that's probably more along the lines of clear air out here. And as the sweep line comes around, we're going to see things change just a little bit. Let's go in really close here. You can see the Carter Grove community right there. You can just kind of pick out your street over here toward New Sharon. We've got the grid of county roads up here in northwest Madison County. And this is moving at a clip of about 45 miles per hour. So you need to pay close attention to this here in the next 25, 30 minutes over northern Madison County. Our storm tracking tool is going to tell us exactly where this thing is going to wind up here in the next 30 minutes. I'm going to zoom out just a little bit and kind of give you a perspective on where this is going relative to the northern half of Madison County and southern half of Lincoln County. We'll make sure we get Fayetteville and Huntsville in the view so that you can see. This will not affect downtown Huntsville proper. This will not affect downtown Fayetteville proper. It's going almost halfway in between them. I'm going to let this next sweep come around because we're about to see some brand new data come in, and it still looks like it's right there in that same place. So tornado warning in effect until 7:30. There's the storm track. We're going to put it at about 50 miles per hour. Gum Springs, Elora, Flintville. I think you might be on the northern flank of where hail is falling, but New Sharon, Hazel Green, Lincoln, Howell Hill, I think you may be close to the tornadic circulation. Christina.
That storm that you are tracking, that has a history of producing damage near the rest stop in Alabama. You know the one that I'm talking about. Tree branches down, trash cans blown over, split tree, and signs blown over. So that's the rest stop that as you come from Tennessee into Alabama, that's the one with the rocket. That one is, it's a meteorologist from Nashville has come down into North Alabama and is reporting that. I also want to mention that Coleman County emergency managers are reporting a tornado touchdown near Vinemont right about now, and that's pretty much what all the reports I have. I'm going to toss it over to Ben Smith real quick.
Yeah, and my buddy Dwayne said there are numerous trees down in Lacon along US 31, and he said that, and Dwayne is a good friend of mine. He's been in North Alabama for a long time, very reliable, very knowledgeable. He said winds were estimated between 80 to 100 miles per hour down there, and you saw with our software here that we had a confirmed, at least with our rotation, about 84 miles per hour, so we could have had winds at 100 miles per hour down here. And if you look closely at the radar here, here's Florette, there's Highway 67, there's a look at Eva. We're talking some huge hail here. There could be some hail the size of maybe tennis balls here along Highway 67, and the possible tornado, if you're an Arab, if you're along Highway 69, this is all pressing out to the east. We'll see if it gets as far east as Gunnersville or perhaps Georgia Mountain or Scant City, but everybody here along this area of southeastern Morgan County needs to be in a safe spot. And of course, even the bigger news as well, even further up to the north, Jason was talking about up there in southern middle Tennessee, extreme northern Madison County, those areas as well under a tornado warning. But right now, definitely need to pay close attention. We do not need anyone on the road. Matter of fact, south on I-65, don't even attempt to go through Coleman County and also Morgan County. There's going to be debris on the road. You have to remember that system that's currently near Arab now was the same one that caused damage in Russellville, same one that went through Moulton, the same one that was already over eastern Mississippi. So we're talking long track tornado here. It's the same circulation, and it's still not done yet. That warning remains in effect for Morgan County and sections of Marshall County, and we'll see if it gets into maybe even into southern DeKalb County. The system obviously has been holding together. There's Arab there's US 231 coming out of Lacey Spring and Morgan City. Union Grove is over here as well. Heavy rainfall, the likelihood of some significant hail here as well on the south side of Florette there on Highway 67. Goes down to Baileyton. And then over to the east, there's Gunnersville, again, Georgia Mountain, you're familiar with that, coming in on Highway 69 there, and then even further off to the east. We'll have to see what happens in Nixon Chapel and Hyatt and even over toward Albertville and Boaz and Douglas down Highway 79. You may see some significant rain. Also, US 431. All these areas need to pay close attention to this particular system. It's held together for such a long time, and it seems like it's still going to be holding together for a while.
All right, thank you, Ben. And what we see on radar right now, two distinct storms, two supercells, one in northern Madison County and another one that's just southwest of the city of Arab. Both of these are moving at about 45 miles per hour, but they seem to be moving at slightly different angles. The one that's in Madison County is taking more of an easterly track, and this is where it's going. We're going to pull it out. It's moving at about 45 miles per hour across northern Madison County. So you see there Hazel Green, about 9 minutes away, and this one now has confirmed damage with it, as does the one to the south. In fact, some significant damage has occurred with this big high precipitation cell that is now in far northeastern Cullman County, and that's moving toward Marshall County. So if you're an Arab, you need to be going through your tornado safety plan right now. Same thing up here around Hazel Green, and since we have two storms, we're just going to bounce back and forth between them. We'll start down here in Marshall County and Morgan County. This storm right there, that's where your possible tornado would be, just right on top of Huleko and Ryan, moving into the Arab area. So Ruth, Hogjaw, Arab. That's what the structure looked like just a few moments ago, and now we're starting to see it move on to the east. Here comes the new sweep line from Armor, and we're going to see a very high indication. This is high up in the storm. Remember, what we do with Armor is we look at multiple layers of the storm to see what it's doing at different parts throughout the atmosphere. And here's where our possible tornado would be, and here's where it's going, moving over toward Marshall County and far northern Cullman County. Now, is it on the Morgan County side or is it on the Cullman County side? Unfortunately, radar can't tell us that. Down, especially this far down to the south, we get a little too far away from the radar. The beam is too high up in the air to really give us a good view of exactly what's happening. But there's a really good chance that inside this box that we potentially have a tornado at the very minimum. There's some very big hail falling here, but right in this area here, see where we have nice smoother colors all around that. This is where large hail is falling. I don't see what would really amount to a debris signature at this moment in the live data, but there is certainly a chance that there could be a tornado down on the ground still. If not down, I think there has been one, and we might still have some debris aloft from that as it was passing through the Lacon area. So there's the reflectivity again. There's our hook echo that's approaching Huleko. And let me just kind of back up here and give you a good storm track on this. That is a very, very good sign of a tornado right there, or a very bad sign if you want to look at it that way. Looking at the radar signature, this is what you are looking for if you're looking for a tornado, and that is right on top of Huleko, moving toward Marshall County. So we're going to draw it from right about there on the county line into Arab, and then come over here toward the Gunnersville area at about 45 miles per hour. That would put it near Gunnersville, near Fry Gap, right around, say, 7:15 to 7:30. The tornado near Huleko, near Bayleton, close to the Gold Ridge community. Like I said, is it on the north side of the county line or the south side of the county line? I cannot tell you that just based on the radar imagery, but given what we know, it came out of Lacon and was moving east-southeast. So it's going to be very, very close to the Morgan-Cullman County line, just north of Bayleton. This is going to be to the east of Fairview at this point. I think the tornadic circulation is probably east of County Road 55, but it's coming right up on Alabama Highway 69 on Brindley Mountain, around the Bayleton area, probably toward the four-way, the four-way stop between Bayleton and Joppa, and then coming on from Joppa northeast into the Arab area. Let's go back up to Madison County and check on that storm that has been producing some wind damage, we know, near I-65, close to Ardmore, and then as it's moved on across northern Madison County. Fortunately, we've not heard of a lot of damage. That can be a good thing or a bad thing. Sometimes the damage reports trickle in when there's been significant damage. Sometimes when it's minor damage, it doesn't get reported until the next day. So it's not always a no news is good news kind of situation when it comes to these things. And by the way, in Jackson County and DeKalb County and for most of Marshall County, we are still waiting for these storms to get there. Once this line passes, there's a pretty good chance that we won't see that much more tonight. Matter of fact, the tornado watch has already been dropped for Lawrence and Wayne and all of North Mississippi, and I would imagine soon we're going to see it drop for Franklin, Colbert, and Lauderdale. Until that happens, you do not have an all clear. Even though I think most of the storms are over in northwest Alabama now, until the National Weather Service drops that watch, I still need you to be vigilant. You can see the blinking red boxes. Those are tornado warnings in effect for Madison County, for Lincoln County, for Morgan, Cullman, and Marshland. Look, almost all of Cullman County is under a warning at this point. There are actually two different storms in the county that we're watching. So let's get back to it, and let's take high top this time. We're going to look at the reflectivity product and just kind of show you where we are relative to these storms. Looking at high top at the storm that's in northern Madison County, and then looking down toward Marshall County as well. We can see both of them in the view here, so I think that's going to be a pretty good shot. The storm that is in northern Madison County, moving to the east just like that. We're going to pull it out at about 45 miles per hour. You can see it comes close to Elora. Like I told you a few minutes ago, I don't think that it's going to get up here toward Huntland or Flintville. But Elora is pretty close to the path of that. Flintville, Vantown, South Lincoln, I think you're just going to have to deal with the heavy rain and the hail and some strong gusty winds. And then farther to the south, we've got the storm that's down here in Marshall County. This one that has the warning prompted for Marshall is right on the Coleman-Morgan County line. Between Highway 69 and Huleco, probably on the north side of Joppa. I don't know that this is going to cross Alabama 69 before it gets to Joppa. But it certainly may cross it on the north side. And I'm looking at that coming from the west side of town. It may cross Highway 69 right there at or just north of where that tornado crossed back in the mid-90s, around 1995 or 96, if I remember correctly. So if there is a tornado there, Joppa, you need to be in your safe place. So do you in Arab. New Canaan, Thrasher's Crossroads, Blount County, technically not in the tornado warning. The National Weather Service in Birmingham issuing that little triangle right there, a severe thunderstorm warning for northern Blount County. But if you're around Strawberry or Roswell, Rock Springs, I want you to go ahead and be in a safe place. In the city of Coleman, let's look at this. We've got this other tornado warning that was issued for the city of Coleman until 7:30 p.m. So let's put a storm track on both of these and get a view of what's going on with that storm too. It's moving toward the southeast, just like this right here. So we'll pull it out to 45 miles per hour. That's going to get it over here toward Hanceville, maybe Holly Pond, south end of Holly Pond. I don't think it's going to come right through the middle of town because it's moving more toward the southeast. But from Coleman down toward White City, Hanceville, Center Hill, Welty, you need to be in a safe place. Tornado warning in effect for you. Tornado warning also in effect for the area right here around Tri-County Volunteer Fire Department in southeast Morgan, southwest Marshall, and into the Coleman County area too, right there around Joppa. So from Joppa to Huleco, over to Arab, up to Ruth and Hogjaw, there is a very, very strong indication of a tornado that could be down on the ground right now. Let's go to Armor Live Reflectivity so that we can show you the live picture of where the position of that storm is. And that little hook right there, that's the point that we're watching. It's right on the county line, right there where the counties come together, where Coleman, Marshall, and Morgan all come together. Then we've got the storm that's coming into downtown Coleman right now, and then also a storm in northern Madison County. And we're watching every single one of these and trying to keep them on the screen at the same time so that we're serving everyone at the same time. Let's go to Christina.
Lincoln County, Tennessee, and Madison County, Alabama are now under a tornado warning through 7:30 p.m. Locations do include Plevna, Flintville, Elora, Bellevue, and Fisk.
All right, so that just kind of re-updates the situation for Madison County. Look at this thing is still pretty wrapped up. I mean, that is a strong indication of a tornado. You don't need to be driving on Highway 231, 431 between Park City and Hazel Green right now. Another 10 minutes, and I think that's going to be all fine. But the circulation is on the county line, so around Lincoln, down to Fisk, and then over to Plevna, and then the north end of the New Market area. We've got a possible tornado that is moving toward the east at about 45 miles per hour. We're going to go in really close here. You can see the Bucks Mill community come on the map. You can see Three Oaks and New Hope, Vantown, Fairview. Our possible tornado would be right here at State Line. That's State Line Baptist Church that sits right there. The Lottery Magic Mile sits just across the state line right there. So if you know where those landmarks are, that's where this possible tornado would be, between Magic Mile and Fisk on Highway 231, 431. Eastwood Estates, Three Oaks, this is you're in the rain and where we would expect some large hail to be falling, the Lincoln community right here in southern Lincoln County, also more of a potential of large hail than anything else at this point. But there's still some concern here because we're so close to it. So if you're on, say, South Lincoln Road or Lincoln Road, that's Tennessee 275, up here toward New Hope, toward South Lincoln Elementary School, you see Old Lincoln Road right there. And then let's get over here so that we can see that Howell Hill sits right there. That's Smith Mill Road. So if you're right around South Lincoln Elementary School, not a bad idea to go ahead and go through your tornado safety plan. The circulation that's right here on the state line, and there's a good reason this community is named State Line because it sits right smack dab on the line between Lincoln and Madison counties. If you are right in that area, I need you to go ahead and be in your safe place. You're going to be able to come out here in just a matter of maybe about 10 to 15 minutes. Let's put a storm track on this and show you where we think it's going. First of all, I want to put the arrows back on so that we can get some of the storm attribute information. Severe hail possible here, about a 50% chance. Radar suggesting that in the storm, that the part of the storm that's approaching Lincoln and Vantown, that the hail is probably about the size of a dime or smaller, which is an improvement over what we saw just a little bit earlier. Down here to the southwest, the orange arrow there indicating where there's shear in the thunderstorm. Shear is at 80.6 miles per hour. That's a pretty good indication that a tornado could be occurring, and that's the general path right there from what the radar is suggesting. I think it might be a little bit south. Flintville, it's going to be a little bit south of Gum Springs, Vantown to Elora. You're going to be awfully close to where this tornado would be. Go ahead and be in your safe place. If you're north of Tennessee 275, I think it's probably more hail, but just to be on the safe side, I want you to go ahead and be in your safe place as well. So let's take the arrows off so that it's a bit easier to see what we're looking at here. We'll tilt the map just a bit and start zooming out so that we can see what's going on down in Coleman County and Marshall County. And we also note that there are some heavy thunderstorms moving into the city of Huntsville right now. These aren't severe, but they could turn severe because we're in an environment where it's not going to take that much for a storm to quickly ramp up and become severe, go into rotation, and potentially produce a tornado. We've got a tornado warning in effect for Marshall County and for Morgan County and for northeastern Coleman County until 7:45. There's also a tornado warning in effect for central Coleman County. That includes the city of Coleman until 7:30 p.m. And now, just in the past couple of moments there, you saw the new tornado warning come out that includes all of southern Marshall County, from Claysville, from Union Grove, and from looks like roughly about Columbus City southward. That includes places like Albertville, Asbury, Boaz, Horton, Nixon Chapel, Hyatt, High Mound. All those communities right around the Albertville area, Boaz, southwest over to Horton and Douglas, now a tornado warning in effect. There are two storms that will ultimately impact Marshall County from this. The first one is this one that is near Arab right now. And if you're in Arab, you're out of time. It is time to be hunkered down, lowest part of your home, an interior closet, bathroom, hallway, basement. By the way, if you're in Albertville, you've got time. Time is on your side right now. You don't have a lot of time, but if you're going to get to a public shelter, right now would be the time to go. Let's look at this. About 45 miles per hour. It's going to take it roughly a half hour to get into the city of Albertville. 7:37 p.m. Boaz at 7:42. Hyatt right around 7:28. Arab. It's happening now. It is within the Arab city limits as we speak. It might be 2 or 3 minutes before it gets to downtown Arab, but you need to go ahead and be in your safe place. The storm that is in Coleman County, that is just south of downtown Coleman, down close to the Bolte community, that one is moving more toward the southeast, but it also could impact parts of Marshall County and Blount County. So let's go in a little bit closer here and check out what's going on in Coleman County. That storm is pretty well wrapped up. You can see both of them wrapped up. This one that's on the southwest side of Arab right now, there comes the new scan. Fairly confident that we potentially have a tornado on the ground near the Arab stockyard, or it could be as far north as downtown Arab, maybe even as far south as Thrasher's Crossroads, New Canaan, and down into Blount County. That entire stretch of Highway 231, you need to be in a safe place right now. We've also got that hook right there that's just southeast of downtown Coleman, and you saw the sweep line come around. This is what it looks like at about, say, 10,000 feet off the ground. You've got a strong core of the storm. There's clear rotation there. It's moving just a little bit to the east of U.S. Highway 31, and this is where it is going. Places around White City, Huntsville, Center Hill, Welty, and then we'll keep it going over here toward Bluntsville. And if it maintains that path, look, it's going to come close to clipping southwest Marshall County. So we have two storms potentially affecting Marshall, two storms that are in Cullman, and one storm that is moving out of Morgan County. Watch as the new sweep line comes around. Here's where our possible tornado would be, near Arab. And I think it's near, if it's somewhere on the ground, it's close to the Arab stockyard. Christina.
Want to give a quick all clear to Lauderdale, Colbert, and Franklin counties. Those are cleared from the tornado watch.
Okay, we'll go back and look at that tornado watch momentarily. This is our path on the storm that is coming from Arab over to Hyatt, Guntersville, Asbury, Martling, Albertville, Boaz. If you are going to a public shelter in Hyatt or in Albertville or High Point or the, say, the Martling community, Asbury or Boaz, you need to go now. You've got, what, about less than 30 minutes. Less than 30 minutes before this storm will be crossing over Marshall County. We've also got this storm that is in eastern Cullman County that has the potential for a tornado with it. And I'm going to track that out again. That's where our possible tornado would be. This is going to stay south of Holly Pond, but it's going to come pretty close to the Huntsville area, especially north Huntsville, around Center Hill and Welty. So if you're in that area, southeast of downtown Cullman, that storm is moving at you at about 45 miles per hour. It's essentially on you right now. You can see as it gets over here toward Bluntsville and Rosa in Blount County at about 7:34 p.m. Let's go back up to northern Madison County. Christina, go ahead.
As you jog up to the north, Hazel Green Building Supply, possible damage confirmed by a trained spotter. So we've had quite a bit of damage reported in that area.
All right, and we've got three storms that are producing damage. We've got confirmed damage with the storm that is moving into Arab right now. That damage happened in southern Morgan County. Now we've got confirmed damage up here close to the Hazel Green area. This storm is hugging the state line and hugging the county line right now with between Madison County and Lincoln County. So,
Albertville camera's got a lot of lightning on it.
okay. All right, well, I'll tell you what, let's just take a look at that right now. We'll look at the Albertville camera. We're going to look for the lightning coming with this storm, so we can just pull that straight into links right here. This is what it looks like in Albertville, and you can see the lightning. By the way, just to get you oriented, this is Alabama Highway 75 right here. This would be Broad Street. There you see the Goodyear tire dealer. Right over here would be the Church of Christ, just off the screen. So if we pan a little bit over to the left, you would see that. There's not... It's not in Albertville yet. It's not in Albertville yet, but there is a tornado warning in effect for the Albertville area because of the storm that's over close to Arab, and it looks like it is starting to ramp up yet again. So we've got two storms on radar that are really potent. This one that has hit the Hazel Green area, potentially causing some damage there. Let's put a storm track on that one and pull it out again. 45 miles per hour. That's going to put it in Jackson County in less than a half hour, affecting High Top right about 7:47. Let me go down to the south and check on what's happening with our storm in Marshall County, and the one in Marshall County seems to be becoming dominant again, and it's clipping northern Blount County too. So we're going to go in very, very close here and look at what's going on around Arab and into this part of northeast Cullman County. Very strong indication of a tornado right here. This thing is moving toward the east at about 45 miles per hour, if not a little bit south of east. It seems to have wobbled a bit on that southeast track. In fact, I think it may be moving a little bit more due east now. So as we see this higher level scan come, there's your circulation right there. Again, from Arab southeast down toward Fry Gap, thinking Fry Gap Road, down toward Alabama Highway 79, and then ultimately Highway 75, coming from Horton up to White Oak to Albertville. You need to go ahead and be thinking about where you need to be if you're in those communities, because this is a mean-looking storm. We've had storms that have already produced some significant damage tonight over into northwest Alabama, to Russellville, through Morgan County, through the northern part of Limestone County, and now we're starting to get some reports trickling in of some damage around the Hazel Green area. This is high up off the ground with live armor, but that is still a very, very potent storm, a strong indication that we've got some rotation going on there. Let's look at it from high top and look at the base velocity product, and sure enough, same thing we're seeing with Armor, we're seeing with high top. A lot of strong wind with this. You've got strong inbound next to strong outbound, and this is what this means. That means the wind is moving this way. It's inbound toward the radar up at high top in Jackson County. This is outbound wind away from the radar. So this is now east of Arab. It is east of Huleco. It's east of Bayleton. This is now squarely in southwest Marshall County, north of Nixon Chapel, and really approaching the Nixon Chapel Hyatt area from the northwest as we speak. So Marshall County, I need you to be in a safe place just as soon as you can get there. That's what the lowest scan on high top looks like right now. Let me zoom out just a little bit, and we'll storm track this based on that. And look at there, we've got those two circulations. The one that is close to Welty and Center Hill right now, moving down toward the southeast. We've also got the one that is just southeast of Arab that's headed over toward Douglas and Albertville. So here is the storm track. And again, this is about 45 miles per hour. It's going to be near downtown Albertville by 7:39. So less than 20 minutes away from downtown Albertville. Mountain Borough in Etowah County about 7:48. Boaz about 7:43. Whitun in DeKalb County at 7:49. Painter around 7:49 as well. Aroni, Kilpatrick, you could also be in the path of this if it maintains its strength, which I at this point have no reason to believe that it will not maintain the strength. Let's look at some of the arrows, and I know there's going to be a lot of information popping up here on the screen, but this info is good for us to be able to do some analysis. We'll pull up the shear skit right here, the orange one. BTI now up to 7. That's the highest one we've seen today. And when we have a BTI of 7, a Barron Tornado Index of 7, that makes me very confident that there is a tornado on the ground. So let me just go ahead and say this. I strongly recommend, if you're in Albertville, Nixon Chapel, Boaz, that you get to a safe place immediately. This is nothing to mess around with. A BTI of 7, that's a 7 out of 10. 7 out of 10 on the scale. A tornado is likely on the ground southeast of Arab, moving to between Douglas and Albertville on Highway 75, to between Nixon Chapel and, Cherokee Ridge in southwest Guntersville. I want you to be in a safe place as soon as you can get there. If you can't get to a community storm shelter, get yourself in the bathroom, grab a mattress, grab a pillow off the bed, put it over your head, grab a bike helmet, put a football helmet on the kids, make sure that they're safe, get in the lowest part of the house, middle territory, put as many walls between you and the outside as you can. This is a very serious situation for South Marshall County and also for Cullman County too. Around Welty, around Hanceville, coming down into Bluntsville. You see a new tornado warning just issued for northern Blount County, too. That does include Bluntsville, Sneed, Cleveland, all the way over to the western edge of Walnut Grove and Altoona, as those fingers of those towns kind of work over into Blount County. Our focus here in the Tennessee Valley, we're trying to split the time here between multiple storms. The storm that is in northern Madison County, and Christina, Ben, you may correct me here, but I believe it's been replaced with a severe thunderstorm warning.
That is correct.
I think, okay, so the severe thunderstorm warning is in effect for Jackson County and for northeastern Madison County. That will replace the tornado warning that was in effect for the northeastern part of Madison County and for southeastern Lincoln County. And that's good news. That means that we don't see the same kind of indication of a potentially violent tornado that we might see farther down to the south along Sand Mountain and Brindley Mountain at this point. So the storms up here, maybe the storms down here are starting to rob some of the energy from what's going on in northern Madison County. So let's go to that and look at it again in real time. So this is what it looks like, and yeah, that's a shell of its former self as it is kind of drifting up into southern Franklin County, Tennessee. So the severe thunderstorm warning is in effect until 7:45 p.m. For Jackson County and for part of Franklin County, Tennessee. It still shows a little bit of sign of some rotation here and there, but the overall idea here is that this is a much weaker storm than it was just a little while ago, even though severe thunderstorm warning is nothing to sneeze at on a day like this. There's a tornado watch in place, and the old weather wisdom about a severe thunderstorm watch and a tornado warning is you should still treat it like it's a tornado warning. because it could ramp back up very, very quickly. Christina, let's go to you.
Want to let you know that Gabrielle Diebler and Shane Hayes are in ARAB right now in Storm Hunter 19. So, Gabrielle, can you hear me and let us know what is going on and what you see out there?
Yeah, I got you, Christina. Y'all hear me? We had just entered ARAB city limits. We've been taking 69 down into ARAB, so we're in now. And as you can see, we're just getting some light rainfall. We are actually kind of behind this storm that y'all have been talking about. And following behind it, we have seen the hail, we've seen debris on the roads, and everything like that. We've also been seeing a lot of lightning, as you can see from just ahead of the storm. We're going to continue to move towards the east into the storm and keep a close eye on it through the rest of the evening as we continue to follow it right now. All we can really recommend is to, of course, stay off the roads. Even if these storms have passed your area at this point, stay off the roads. There's still a lot of debris. We just passed over some more hail just now. And some of this looks like it could have been rather large hail, probably starting to melt a little bit now. But stay off the roads until things have cleared out. Even if the storms have passed you, be aware there could be some debris on the roadways and things like that. So even if you have the all clear from a radar perspective, that doesn't necessarily mean that your paths are going to be clear from some of the damage we've seen across the Tennessee Valley. There are not just debris as in leaves and things, but major limbs down, trees down, blocking roadways and things of that nature. So be aware if you are headed out at any point this night after the storms are gone, you might run into some problems there. Be prepared to take a different route. We are going to continue making our way through ARAB right now. We'll give it back to you guys so you can, of course, keep that radar up and talk about the track of the storm. But we will, of course, let you know if we see anything else, if we see any damage that we come upon. Right now, it's just a lot of hail out here on the roadways, guys.
All right, thank you very much, Gabrielle. The tornadic storm that Gabrielle was coming in behind. She's on Alabama Highway 69 coming out of ARAB. The storm is now down here a bit closer to Douglas, and I just showed you the storm track a moment ago. I've circled the area where the greatest potential of a tornado exists, and you can see again we've got the inbound and the outbound winds right there next to each other. So that's where we have pretty strong shear. In fact, we can just kind of investigate this. We've got 28 miles per hour outbound against 42 miles per hour inbound, and that's where that shear comes from. You just kind of add the two highest numbers together, and that's what a lot of these arrows right here try to tell us. So let's look at the orange arrow that tells us about the shear. Again, we have a BTI at 7. That is a very high number. That gives me great confidence that there is probably a tornado down near Douglas right now. And let me clear this off so it's a bit easier to see. But shear 92 miles per hour. That means there's a 92 mile per hour difference between the wind going away from the radar and the wind coming toward the radar. And it's moving down toward the east-southeast at about 45 miles per hour. BTI of 7, that's a big deal. That is something that will make you stand up and pay attention. So let me turn the arrows off so that you can more easily see that. And a very, very strong indication of a tornado close to Douglas right now. I think we may actually have two. Looks like we have circulation here on the west side of Albertville and a circulation that is just on the east side of Douglas coming just off of Alabama Highway 75. Think 168 going into Boaz from Douglas. Right along Alabama Highway 168. I need you to go ahead and be in a safe place because we have a tornado, what appears to be a tornado, moving into that area right now. So let's go in very close here and look and see some of these communities pop on. And there you see Alabama Highway 168. It's faint, but there it is. I'm going to go in just a little bit tighter again and just kind of show you as some of the communities pop on here. There you see State Route 168. You can see Alabama Highway 75 right there up toward the White Oak area. I think around High Point, Pleasant Grove, Horton, and Douglas. I think we have two circulations in progress here. Both of them could produce a tornado at just about any time. The shear rate coming off of the high top radar, that is as high as we have seen it all day. So Alabama Highway 168 around Douglas, I need you to be in a safe place right now. Going into Whitesville and into the Boaz area. This is Boaz. Snead State Community College sits right about there. So this thing is moving right up towards Snead State Community College in the Boaz area. Let me stop the map right there, and we'll just put a storm track on this. Just kind of zoom out a little bit so that we can make sure that we get the full length of the track on there and get it up to 45 miles per hour. But that little spot right there, that's the latest shear track that we have, or the shear rate at 45 miles per hour. It's going to affect those communities. Those are the communities in the path of this. So Dawson, Crossville, Rodentown, you're close to the top of the hour if this thing maintains itself. Kilpatrick, Aroni, and then, of course, right into nearly downtown Boaz. I think this thing could come pretty close to downtown Boaz. There's the second track right there. There's the one that seems to be weakening a little bit, and the southerly track is the one that's really starting to pick up. Here's the sheer swath, and look at that. This is where we potentially may have some tornado damage done across northeast Cullman County, across Nixon Chapel, Hyatt, High Mound, down toward Douglas and Horton. And now, again, that is moving east-southeast in the direction of Boaz. So let's adjust our storm track just a little bit one more time and get a little bit more of a southeast motion on it. So Highway 168 going into Boaz, and then down toward northern Etowah County and southern DeKalb County. So this thing may end up staying a little south of Kilpatrick and Crossville, but honestly, to me, it's too close for comfort. If you live in Kilpatrick or Crossville or Painter or Albertville, I still want you to be in your safe place. You have a tornado warning in effect right now. Let's go to Armor Reflectivity and look at this from the perspective of what the live radar is showing right now. And you can see we still have pretty strong indication of rotation right there in southern Marshall County. I really think there are probably two areas of rotation. There's one south of Gunnersville that's coming up close to Albertville and Sims. That thing gets up on Sand Mountain. It starts to take on a life of its own, and I think that's what's happened right here. We came off of Brindley, and now we're coming up onto Sand. So this is at a pretty high elevation. That's back to our low-level scan, the live sweep line coming around, showing us that there's a possible tornado very close to Alabama Highway 168, from 168 north up to White Oak, and from 168 south all the way to the Etowah County border. You need to be in a safe place just as soon as you can get there. Again, that is a very high-end look at the storm right there. You're going to see that disappear, and we'll come back to the lowest level. Horton over to Boaz, White Oak to Albertville, all the way to the county line to Kilpatrick. I need you to be in a safe place just as soon as you can get there. Christina.
Tornado warning issued for Franklin County, Tennessee, and Jackson County, Alabama through 8 p.m.
All right, so tornado warning issued for Franklin County, Tennessee, and Jackson County, Alabama. That would be the storm that we've been watching right there. Let me put the warnings back on so that you can see them. And there's the newest one coming on. And by the way, Etowah County, tornado warning for northern Etowah County because of the storm that we're seeing coming out of Marshall County. That thing might miss DeKalb. It might, but I'm not confident enough to tell you that it is going to. So if you're around Aroni or Rodentown, Kilpatrick, Crossville, or Painter, I still want your attention. Good news here. Before we get to this tornado warning, let's do this. Huntsville West, Athens, Moulton, Russellville, Florence, Muscle Shoals. The risk of severe weather is ending quickly as this line is passing through. Christina.
In fact, the tornado watch has been canceled for Lincoln and Ward counties in Tennessee, as well as Colbert, Franklin, Lauderdale, Lawrence, Limestone, and Madison counties, as well as Morgan County, Alabama. That watch has been expired. All
right, so if your county is no longer red, I'll give you the all clear. If your county is still red, you don't get an all clear. And look at this. Jackson, Marshall, and DeKalb counties are the only ones in North Alabama left in this watch. Cullman County still in the watch, but I think you're going to be dropped soon. That's up to the National Weather Service in Birmingham. We see the red flashing icons right here. That's where we have a tornado warning for Jackson County and Franklin County until 8 o'clock. Tornado warning for Marshall County until 7:45. There is potential that we maybe have a big tornado in southern Marshall County on Sand Mountain that's moving down toward the Boaz area. So I want to focus on that. Remember, northern Jackson County, tornado warning in effect until 8 o'clock, but where we have what I think is probably the sure thing is where we're going to spend our time here for the next few minutes. So let's just clear the watch off the screen here. We've got multiple warnings in progress. Severe thunderstorm warning replaced by a tornado warning for northern Jackson County. High top Walls of Jericho. Those are the areas that are likely to be affected. It's not going to impact Scottsboro or Pleasant Groves or High Top or Skyline. You're going to get some rain, but the tornadic part of the storm is in the far northern part of the county. It may eventually get over here towards Stevenson, so we're going to look at that here in just a moment. Let's take a look and see what's going on in Marshall County. That's where the heart of the severe weather is occurring at this moment. We've got potential for hail falling over top of Albertville. In fact, let's look at this from two different perspectives. It's good to have multiple radars to look at it. So I want to look at it from the high top radar as well. And look at that. That thing is wrapping up right there. It seems to maybe have pulled itself in, and it's coming back up toward White Oak and Albertville. That's why I said, if you're in Albertville, I wanted you in your safe place anyway, even though it looks more like a Boaz storm. This thing's going to wobble back and forth between the two cities. So nobody needs to be driving on Highway 431 between the base of the mountain and Gunnersville. Pull off at Gunnersville High School if you're trying to travel south. Pull off at Mountainboro and just kind of wait this thing out. Don't try to drive through it on Highway 431. We're going to see what happens with this momentarily as it crosses over U.S. Highway 431. In fact, let's see if we can pull up that Albertville camera and get a view at what's going on with that storm right now. So let's see if we can get the camera up. I hit the button too many times. It should pull up here in just a moment if it's still live.
I just checked it. It's good.
Maybe I'm being a little impatient with that button. It should pop up here in just a moment. If it doesn't, okay, there it goes. That's what it looks like. Ben, I think the camera may be frozen. That may be the last image we see. I don't see any movement in that.
Actually, I just saw a car go across the road about 5 minutes ago.
Okay, I think at this point, this is the last image that we've gotten from this camera.
It's live.
It is live?
It's live.
Okay.
I can confirm.
Okay. It does. I think maybe it's frozen here in this view. Maybe you're able to see it, but I'm not. Maybe we can pull it up in the control room. Sometimes using the webcam.
There's somebody moving right
Okay, there it goes. Yeah. There it goes. Okay, so this is you can see what's going on. There's an 18-wheeler at the intersection of Broad Street and Highway 75. There we're starting to see the movement. Heavy rain. We've got some lightning in the area. The tornado would be on the other end. So, Christina, if you could turn the camera toward the right. Let's turn Albertville camera toward the right. And when you've done that, let me know, because we're going to go back to the radar and look at this from the armor perspective. So now we're looking south past the Jameson Inn. That's Highway 431 going down toward Boaz. So now you're looking almost due south, and if you go too far to the right, we're going to see the pole. So I think that's a good view right there. We'll be watching this for any sort of power flashes or anything like that as it's moving over into the South Albertville, Boaz area. In particular, if you're around Marshall Medical South, this would be a good time for you to be in that safe place. Marshall Medical South, since right about there, if you're not accustomed to driving through Albertville and Boaz, it's hard to tell which city you're in right here unless you're really looking for the city limit sign. So if you're in that, if you know what I'm talking about, that area where you're not sure if you're in Boaz or if you're in Albertville, that's the area that is in most danger right now from what looks to be what could be a fairly significant tornado. We'll put the arrows back on here and look at that spot right there. The BTI seems to have dropped off, thankfully. The hail size still up to 1.25 inches, which is a very significant hail. Let's look at this shear marker again. Hail size close to 1.25 inches, and there you see the motion. And I know all these arrows look crazy, so I'm going to turn them off so that there's just not that much on there. But right in here, around Albertville and White Oak, and points to the east of there, I need you to be in your safe place right now, because this is a very serious situation. Christina.
Marshall County EMA relaying golf ball size hail as well as potential funnel cloud near Boaz.
Okay, so golf ball size hail and the potential of a wall cloud close to Boaz. So let's look at high top reflectivity, and you're going to see, yeah, look at that. This is the area where the possible tornado would be. Right in here. There's your hail, and we were seeing that extremely heavy rain from the camera there in Albertville just a moment ago. Let's just bounce back and forth between the two. Let's pull up the Albertville camera. There's the view of the radar. This is what it looks like in Albertville right now. And our camera is sitting right at the intersection of Alabama 75 and U.S. Highway 431. We're looking south. There is the hotel. There's the O'Reilly Auto Parts. This is Highway 431. You follow my finger right there. Normally, we can see a lot of street lights out there, but the visibility is so bad because of the heavy rain and what's likely hail falling between us and Boaz that we can't see that far down the mountain, down toward the Boaz area. So you're looking at it from Albertville right now, and throughout the next 10 minutes, nobody needs to be on Highway 431 between Sims and Boaz. Ben.
My buddy Tony Bearden just said he has nickel-sized hail between Albertville and Boaz, so that's definitely confirmed there.
All right, so that's coming around the backside of the circulation, too, which is pretty impressive. Let's look at the velocity product. This is the base velocity, and look at that. I mean, this thing is wrapped up tight, and as it's coming over Sand Mountain, there's likely some terrain interaction here that potentially could be enhancing circulation. So, Ben, Christina, if you guys hear about damage reports, just go ahead and let us know so that we don't have any delay on that. But if you are in Albertville and points north toward Guntersville, up Highway 431, you're okay. I still think it's a good idea to park it at Guntersville High School and stay there for about maybe 15 minutes and let this thing get all the way past Albertville and Boaz before you start traveling down Highway 431 again. And if you're trying to come up Sand Mountain from the south, from Atala, coming up through Mountain Borough and into, say, Sardis, now would be a very bad time to do that because you're headed right into this thing. So let's kind of zoom out just a little bit here and get a view of what is happening across all of Marshall and DeKalb counties. This is our strongest indication of a tornado that we have on the map. It's moving to the southeast at about 45 miles per hour, so let me judge that out. There's a good approximation. Aroni, Rodentown, Boaz. Boaz, essentially, we're talking about right now. If there's a tornado down, it is very, very close to downtown Boaz, maybe a mile north or south. Hopefully that thing is aloft. Hopefully it did not touch down there, but if it didn't, it's going to be a small miracle given the kinds of things that we're seeing on radar. We'll look at the shear skit. BTI back up to 5 on this. Barron Tornado Index now sitting at 5, and it looks like it just updated again. Still at 5. Hail size about 1.25 inches. The severe hail percentage here, the odds of severe hail happening, about 70%, and the shear is up to 80.6 miles per hour. That's a lot of shear. That means the wind is positioned in such a way that it is blowing opposite at about 86 miles per hour. So think about it like this. We've got wind going this way and wind going this way, and the difference between the northbound and the southbound is 80 miles per hour. So that's huge, and that's why that BTI number is so high. I'm almost convinced there's a tornado down right here close to Boaz. If you are in that area, we need you to be in your safe place right now. That would be it right there. It's south of Albertville, coming right into the city of Boaz. There's another storm that's a little bit farther out to the west that we've still got our eyes on. A couple of severe thunderstorm warnings over into Cullman County, but the tornado warning for Marshall County, that is the most significant one. And now we have a tornado warning for DeKalb County until 8:15 p.m. Now, remember our timeline that we've been talking about for the last couple of days. This should be out of here by 9 o'clock. This is not going to be a long night. It's been a very long evening, a long afternoon and a long evening, but I don't think it's going to be an extremely long night because these storms are going to be moving out pretty quickly. Let's briefly go up here to northern Jackson County and look at this storm. It looks like the tornado warning has been allowed to either been canceled or expired in northern Jackson County. We still have a severe thunderstorm warning in effect here, but it looks like the tornado warning has been dropped for that area. The velocity product, not all that impressive. And like we said, the storm down to the south was clearly the more impressive of the two storms. So let's go back down here to the south and look at the storm that's affecting South DeKalb County, eastern Marshall County, and northern Etowah County. That is the only storm we have on radar right now that is showing signs of being tornadic. This is what the reflectivity product looks like. That thing is wrapped up, coming right into the city of Boaz. Let's put a storm track on that thing so that you can see it. I'm even going to turn the warnings off to kind of take away some of the distraction. This is where I think this storm is going to go. I'm going to put my finger where I believe the tornado is, which is very close to Boaz, moving southeast like that. There's a good chance this thing comes across maybe the far southern edge of DeKalb County, close to Smith Institute, Aroni, Rodentown. If you're in those communities, you've been through this before. You've been through it before. There is a strong indication of a tornado right there coming across the southern part of Marshall County. The BTI on this has dropped to 4.9. The Barron Tornado Index now down to 4.9. That's good that it's decreasing, but it's bad that it's not zero. We want that down to zero before we start thinking about being clear of a tornado threat. But the threat is now ending for western Marshall County. If you're around Arab, Scant City, Gunnersville, Fry Gap, some of the communities we called that earlier, Ruth, Hogjaw, the threat is over for you, but it does continue for southeastern Marshall County, northern Etowah County, and southern DeKalb County. Christina, Ben, are you aware of any damage reports that we have at this point?
So far, what I've been seeing is that we have been getting some not only structural damage to a lot of these structures as these storms come through, but people who were caught on the road as the hail came through. One person did email us their picture of their windshield broken, shattered, or I should say a big spot of it shattered as the hail came down. So even if you're not within the core area of the rotation, it's very important to note that anywhere you see the purple on the map there, that lets you know that hail is coming your way. Ben, I know you've got some kind of reports that you want to relay as well. Yeah,
especially into Morgan County and Coleman County. We're getting some reports of some major league trees down in Coleman and Morgan counties. A lot of folks saying that the power is out, a lot of power lines down. And remember, that rotation that's currently near Albertville and Boaz, that was the same one that was over eastern Mississippi earlier. That system has traveled over 130 miles. That's the same one. This is a long track tornado. It's the same one that caused all the damage in Coleman County and Morgan County, also over in Russellville. And of course, the reports continue to come on in of some significant damage there along Highway 43 in Franklin County. And I think the reports will continue to come on in through the rest of this evening. You can see how the radar is still very active here through Etowah County, Albertville, Boaz, Sardis City, extreme southern DeKalb County, still under a tornado warning. And the one up here, just a severe thunderstorm warning. But at least things are slowly starting to improve somewhat, especially west of I-65. Still a little bit more to go here in southern Marshall County, DeKalb County, Etowah County. But heavy rainfall, still getting numerous reports of some hail out there. You could get your car damaged with some of the hail out there. I know I've had that happen before, and down in Coleman County as well, the rain continues to come on down. So those reports continue to come on in. If you have any photos, send them to us as well, photo@WHNT.com. Also, if you have our weather app, our Live Alert 19, you can send us any photos through that as well.
All right. Thank you, Ben. And by the way, Ben, thank you for being here all day. Ben has been here since early this morning, and he's been watching this stuff all day long. Ben, we appreciate your service today, big time. I'm just seeing a couple of reports come in from the Limestone County Sheriff's Department. There's a house that has had the roof torn completely off of it along Gatlin Road and Highway 251 near Ardmore. So the storm that was coming across. Okay, a matter of fact, Justin says we have some photos from Ardmore. Let's go ahead and look at those. That was the storm as it was coming. That looks like Red Bay. That's what we're talking about. The Limestone County Sheriff's Department, Sheriff's Office, sending that photo out. That's significant damage right there. That's high-end EF2, possibly low-end EF3 kind of damage to totally rip the roof off like that. Let's go ahead and quickly go through those. And keep in mind, we do have a tornado warning still in effect for Marshall County and DeKalb County. This is the kind of damage that was done in northern Limestone County, and that storm eventually moved across into Madison County. That looks like the backside of that house that was so heavily damaged, and that is major tornado damage. Outbuildings just totally really get leveled in wind like that. And I think the same thing could be happening down in Marshall County. Christina.
Indeed, southern Albertville and northern Boaz, we're getting reports that trees and power lines are already down. So that is happening at this moment.
All right, and keep in mind, severe thunderstorm warning for Jackson County. We aren't forgetting about you, but the more significant storm is this one that is just southeast of Albertville. And as Christina mentioned, we've got numerous reports of trees and power lines down. Any structural damage so far?
I'm sorry, ask one more time.
Any structural damage in the Albertville area, Boaz?
At this time, we're not seeing that, but I am monitoring the reports.
Okay, so that storm is now basically on top of Aroni in southern DeKalb County. The threat is ending in Albertville, Horton, Nixon Chapel, Douglas, and Arab. If you've been in your storm pit, storm shelter, your safe place inside your house, you can come out in Douglas, Horton, White Oak, Albertville, High Mound, High Point, Arab, Scant City, Gunnersville. The tornado threat is now squarely really in DeKalb County and Etowah County. Back on April 28th of 2014, we had a storm that was pretty close to this area right here. Let me put this in 3 dimensions so that we can get a good look and see just how tall this thing really is. And we'll just kind of zoom in and out a little bit on it and get a view of how significant that storm is. One thing I want to show you about this is as we tilt the map around, and you can see the overhang. There's the updraft of the storm. This is what we call the anvil out here. This is where your tornado would be. This is where you've got heavy rain and hail falling out from underneath that storm. So all this that you see right here is rotating, just like a big donut. So the wind is carrying precipitation downstream. It may also be carrying some debris downstream. So let's look at that. What I want to do is go over to live armor here in just a moment. Let me pull the view back out here, and we'll pop on the more conventional looking radar screen for you. There's the reflectivity, and this is what we're seeing live right now. What's happening in Marshall County and DeKalb County. That is our primary concern. We also note that there are some heavy thunderstorms over here in Cullman County. And let me turn the warnings back on so that you can see what we've got. Severe thunderstorm warnings in Cullman County and in Jackson County. Tornado warning for eastern Marshall, for southern DeKalb, and for northern Etowah County for another, looks like about, 30 minutes or so. I think it's till 8:15 when those warnings expire. So there are really 2 storms impacting Etowah County. This one that's near Walnut Grove likely has some hail with it. This storm is the one of most concern. That's the one near the county line around Smith Institute, Aroni. It's likely just a bit south of Crossville, but like I said a little while ago, if you're in Crossville, I wanted you to go to your safe place. This is why. It's close. It is awfully close in Crossville along Highway 68. This thing has already passed 168, and it's coming right up on Alabama Highway 227, coming south out of Crossville down toward the Rodentown area. And again, we're looking at a high elevation here with armor. So let's go over to our base reflectivity from high top right in here. That's where our tornado would be. We've got our inbounds and our outbounds right next to each other. There's the inbound. You've got strong wind moving in toward the radar. Here's the outbound, and everything is just kind of curling around there. I want to pop the arrows back on here, and I know it looks a little bit cluttered when we do, but it gives us a good idea of how things are playing out. That's what I want you to pay attention to right there. A good chance that we've got at least half-dollar size hail falling out of that storm, and a BTI, the Barron Tornado Index, is at 4.9. It was up at 7 when this thing likely did the damage around Albertville and Boaz, and I still think there's a good chance that it still could be doing some damage around Aroni, Smith Institute, and Rodentown in southern DeKalb County. Let's go to our reflectivity, the more conventional-looking product, and you can see it's not exactly placed where you would think it would be. The tornado is not up here in this nasty looking part of the storm. This is the hail. Remember, I showed you the 3D image where you can see the anvil? Well, all that is being blown out this way, and the tornado is happening in the updraft part of the storm. Because it's an updraft, it's holding precipitation up and preventing it from coming all the way down to the ground until it wraps around the backside of it. So in just a matter of minutes, we're going to be able to clear Boaz and Albertville completely from this, but the tornado warning will continue for southern DeKalb County until 8:15 and for northern Etowah County as well. So again, this is our tornado warning for 8:15 for DeKalb County. Ben.
All right, I got another picture coming in from Regina in Salem, and it's just as bad. I can't show it to you, but she sent it to me on Snapchat. But it's as bad. Okay, all right, I'll see if I can get it back to the back. It's as bad as the damage in Ardmore. So obviously that was the same storm that moved through northwestern Limestone County and then moved through southern Lincoln County, northern sections of Madison County. So obviously this is turning to just a situation where we've had multiple tornadoes here in the Tennessee Valley, long track tornadoes, and we're still not done yet with some of those rotations down here in southern Marshall County, DeKalb, Etowah County, Blount County, even Coleman County. At least in Huntsville to the west, we're clear. Heavy thunderstorms continue up there around High Top and Skyline. There's a closer look there. The rotation is about to cross I-59 there, basically from Crossville and Collinsville all the way down through places like Gadsden and Rainbow City. The Gadsden Mall is down there along Interstate 759. So heavy rainfall, more hail, lots of hail. We talked about that being one of the parameters. You know, sometimes it's tough to get hail, but this time not only we get a lot of it, but we got large hail. You know, baseball-sized hail. You know, Christina was just talking about some of that baseball-sized hail. Christina, what do you have?
I just want to quickly add that in Marshall County, Highway 75 and Allen Road, that is where we have a report of a tree on a house near the Oneida Cutoff and Allen Road. Essentially, that's where we're seeing a lot of that damage in Marshall County. I also want to quickly mention a little bit of what's going on in Madison County. Huntsville Utilities has mentioned that we have 4 utility poles that are down on Patterson Road north of Charity Lane, and that's going to be in the Hazel Green area. I also want to relay some power outages that are going on right now. Essentially, we're seeing a lot of that also occurring. So essentially, give me just a moment here. What I'm going to do, Ben, is I'm going to jog the radar for you as I look up what is going on with Madison County's power outages. But essentially, yeah, we are in the aftermath now, if you will, the cleanup, if you will, while we're still trying to track what is coming through into the Sand Mountain and Lookout Mountain areas.
All right, thank you very much, Christina. By the way, that'd be Aniana Cutoff. Aniana, and that's pretty close to the Albertville Airport. Aniana Cutoff Road comes down from High Point Baptist Church down toward Highway 75. It's a pretty quick way to get around Albertville the back way. So if you try to take the shortcut around Albertville to avoid all the traffic lights, you take the Aniana Cutoff and you go around and you come back up 205. So that area right there, and look, we've got a tornado debris signature showing up for the first time this evening. Tornado debris signature near Aroni in DeKalb County. That is a big deal. When we start to see that gray circle right there, that is a TDS. That means we practically have a guarantee of a tornado on the ground. So right now would be a good time to look at Armour's correlation coefficient, that CC value, where we see all of the crazy colors pop on. And looks like right in here maybe where we start to see a little bit of debris that has been lofted up. We're looking pretty high up in the atmosphere here. So a TDS has now been detected by the high top radar. That's what that gray circle is, a tornado debris signature. If you are in southern DeKalb County or northern Etowah County, take this extremely seriously. And the same thing goes for Cherokee County. We'll put the track on here, show you exactly where it's heading. Tornado should be just a little bit east of Aroni right now, but I don't want you out of your safe place just yet. So there's where it's going. Leesburg, Cedar Bluff, Center, Powell, Sand Rock. Sand Rock has a bad history with tornadoes, too. So around Sand Rock and Leesburg, if you are in that area of Cherokee County, I need you to be in a safe place. You're not under a tornado warning yet, but the radar just tripped that TDS, and there's a pretty good chance that we have some tornado damage occurring. We already know that some has likely occurred around the southwest part of Albertville, between Albertville and Boaz on Highway 431, as well as Alabama Highway 75, just southwest of the Albertville Airport around the Aniana Cutoff. So a very significant weather situation here. Just got a tweet from my pal Zach Richards. He's the pastor at Union Grove Baptist Church over in Crossville. He had about nickel-size hail. Crossville is not in the truly dangerous part of this storm, but you're getting the hail from it. The same thing goes for Dawson and then down into the valley. But right here in the far southern edge of the county, Rodentown, you're up next with this tornado. We've got a tornado warning in effect for Etowah County until 8:30, a tornado warning in effect until 8:15 for DeKalb County. This is what the velocity product looks like. That's where your strongest winds are going to be. That's where the possible tornado would be as well. Right on the county line, it looks like it may have passed east of Smith Institute now and is passing over here just to the north of Duck Springs, likely coming up toward, the northern edge of Lookout Mountain, probably north of Black Creek. I think it's going to come in north of Black Creek, probably north of Tabor Road right there. So that's US 411 that goes from Leesburg down towards Center. So this is north of 411, but it's going to be awfully close, if not just a little bit north of Tabor Road up on Lookout Mountain as it comes down out off of Sand Mountain, crossing US Highway 11 and Interstate 59, and then coming up through the northeastern edge of Etowah County, moving toward Cherokee County. Tornado warning in effect for another 16 minutes for DeKalb County, and it is far southern DeKalb County that we're talking about. Let me just kind of zoom out here and show you the remainder of DeKalb County, and look at Fort Payne and Rainsville and Henniger and Pisgah and Eider. There's very little happening here other than just some rain. We've got big supercells, big high precipitation supercells producing big hail, strong winds, and the potential for tornadoes. There are two of them in Etowah County. One is right on the DeKalb-Etowah County line. The other one is down here just to the west of Gadsden. It has a severe thunderstorm warning on it at this moment, but at any moment, a severe thunderstorm warning could become a tornado warning. And speaking of that, we still have a severe thunderstorm warning in effect for Jackson County until 8:15. This is the storm that did produce all the damage over in Limestone County, around Salem and Elkmont, and we believe it also did some damage around Hazel Green. So we can start compiling some of that as we move into the wind down phase of this for North Alabama in the next half hour, and bring that to you, of course, on WHNT News 19 tonight at 10 o'clock. But there is a very strong thunderstorm in northern Jackson County. Let me put a storm track on this for you. It's into Franklin County, Tennessee, Marion County, Tennessee, and into northern Jackson County. So it is coming towards Stevenson, Bridgeport, South Pittsburgh, the New Hope community, Kimball, and remember, if you're in Tennessee, South Pittsburgh would be 919, Kimball would be 922, Jasper, Tennessee would be 926, and Morganville would be 956. So Morganville being over here in North Georgia. All of those, Marion County, Tennessee, and Dade County, Georgia, are on Eastern Time. This does not calculate Eastern Time because our counties in North Alabama and our southern Tennessee counties are all in the central time zone. So a severe thunderstorm with strong winds and the potential for some hail there in Jackson County. The greater threat of severe weather is now in far southern DeKalb County, where we have the possibility of a tornado. And again, let me put on the arrows and show you what we're looking at here. You can see the motion down toward the southeast. This is not going to affect Fort Payne. It's not going to affect Geraldine or Rainsville. The threat is ending in Albertville. So you can see the arrows there. We'll bring up the storm attributes on that particular one. BTI still hanging in there, close to 5. Barron Tornado Index is a good measure of how a rotating storm is behaving. It's a 1 to 10 scale, so it's pretty easy to understand. If it's close to a 1 or a 0 or a 2, that means it's probably rotating. If it's a 3 or a 4 or a 5, that means it's rotating and might have a tornado with it. And if it's above 6, like it was in Marshall County, if that thing goes up, and see it just dropped down to 2.9, that's telling me that the storm is either reorganizing or weakening. That doesn't mean there's zero chance of a tornado there, because we're starting to get pretty far away from that radar up at high top. Matter of fact, let's look at it from armor reflectivity and show you what we're seeing. I'm going to turn those arrows off so that it's a little bit less cluttered on the screen, and zoom in here and kind of give you a view of what's going on in southern DeKalb County and northern Etowah County. There's where your possible tornado would be, right there. You see the blinking red lines. This is moving quickly over toward Cherokee County, and it would not surprise me at all if the National Weather Service in Birmingham does not issue a tornado warning for Cherokee County very, very soon. So far, we have had damage in Russellville. We've had some significant damage near the Cullman-Morgan County line. We've had significant damage in northern Limestone County and parts of Madison County, and the damage reports are just starting to trickle in from the Albertville-Boaz area as well as the southern part of Marshall County. I want to show you that shear path. Again, the shear swath that tells us where the shear has been, where the strongest shear has occurred within these storms. Let me make sure that we're zooming out here. Let me turn that little button right there off so that the map doesn't go crazy on us. And then look at that. I mean, that's where this storm has been, and that's what it has done. So the shear rate is as high now in Etowah County as it has been the entire time, but we're looking at really two storms. One that's over southern DeKalb and one that is in northern Etowah County, and this is just the cumulative shear that has happened in between those two storms. There's where we had some damage done close to Albertville and Boaz. This would be near the Aniana cutoff. It looks like the storm may have weakened a little bit as it was coming through Arab, and you can see back to the northwest there was some damage done in this part of the swath as well, around Falkville and then down into the Vinemont area. In fact, at one point, Cullman EMA reported a tornado pretty close to Vinemont. In the here and now, this storm is still moving down toward the southeast, and I'm going to turn the shear path off and turn on the shear rate. So this is historical at this point. This is right now. Look at that spot, northeast of Reese City. Our main shear is now in Etowah County and far southern DeKalb County. There may be two circulations here, one that's close to Rodentown that's coming off Sand Mountain down into the valley, and then another that's over here northeast of Reese City coming up on Lookout Mountain and then just about to come down Lookout Mountain and come down 411 and move into Cherokee County. All of this is moving toward the east, and I'm going to put a little bit of a different looking storm track on here just so that we can kind of get the view for the entire area here. Everything you hear moving toward the east-southeast at about 40 miles per hour. I'm going to have to go all the way across the screen here to get that to pull out. But Leesburg Center, Cave Spring, Georgia, and Cedartown, Georgia. Remember, 944 Cave Spring, 950 for Cedartown. This is about to move out of DeKalb County, and that is a good thing. We're excited to clear this tornado threat from DeKalb County, but it's not quite clear just yet. We still have the potential for a tornado in the southern edge of DeKalb and in northern Etowah. That spot right there that's on the county line, there comes the new sweep. It seems to be closing in a little bit, but that little donut hole, that's where there is a good chance that there's circulation that could be getting all the way to the ground in the form of a tornado. That would be near the Flanders community, coming up on County Road 865, and then over here toward Pine Grove Road in Etowah County, County Road 89 down toward Black Creek. So Hendricksville, Flanders, Black Creek, Lay Springs, the Leonard community, and Sand Rock in Cherokee County. Sand Rock sits right there. It's going to be awfully close to Leonard along Cherokee 51, Cherokee 70, and then down toward Kenner Drive, Mackey community, Bristow community. This little spot right here. There's some rotation in there that we're still watching closely. Here's the velocity product. It looks pretty noisy, but it's still there. There's still definitely some rotation showing up on radar. And as we switch over to high top, we'll look at the reflectivity product there. It looks a little bit different. I'm going to zoom in just a bit farther so that you can see some of these names. Black Creek, Scrouge Out. Here's where our hail is falling. And this is pretty much all really in DeKalb County and Cherokee County now. That's where the hail is located. The possible tornado would be near the county line, moving up onto Lookout Mountain and then down the mountain into the Cherokee County Coosa Valley area. If you know where Weiss Lake is, that's part of the Coosa River system. So that's the Coosa Valley as opposed to the Tennessee Valley. Everything on the north side of Sand Mountain and Brindley Mountain is the Tennessee Valley. Everything to the south is either the Coosa or the Black Warrior Valleys. So that's the difference here. And so this is starting to become more of a Coosa issue as opposed to a North Alabama issue. You see the blinking red line? That's where we have a tornado warning still in effect. New tornado warning until 9 o'clock for Cherokee County because this storm is about to be out of DeKalb County. Another 7.5 minutes, and we're going to be able to give DeKalb County the clear from this storm. But while we're talking about who is clear and who is not, let's go ahead and look at that tornado watch and show you who is in the clear now. The tornado watch expires technically at 11 p.m. For these 3 counties in northeast Alabama as well as Franklin County, Tennessee. It will be canceled before that. Matter of fact, Marshall County is probably going to be canceled pretty quickly. Jackson County will be canceled as soon as the storms move out of Jackson County. And DeKalb County, I think we're going to wind up with just this one warning in far southern DeKalb, and that's going to be it. So if you pick out your county and it's no longer highlighted in red, the threat is over for you. That includes Madison, Lincoln, Limestone, Lauderdale, Florence area, Muscle Shoals, Colbert County, Russellville into Franklin County, and Moulton. We also note that there has been some damage done around downtown Moulton from the same storm that is now in southern DeKalb County and northern Etowah County and then moving into Cherokee County. So the damage that has been done this evening has been pretty significant. It looks like potentially high-end EF2 or maybe even EF3 damage in a few spots. So we're going to be gathering information about that, and of course we'll keep you posted. The tornado warning for Cherokee County expires at 7. The tornado warning in DeKalb County will expire in just about 6 minutes at 8:15. So it's just a matter of minutes before we go back to regular programming as the threat is ending. Now, one good thing about Marshall County and DeKalb County, since everything is so far down to the south, we're becoming rain-cooled, and it's really, the rain-cooled air is really starting to dominate the landscape here over Marshall and DeKalb. So I think the severe weather threat is going to wind down really, really quickly. Having said that, we're going to watch these storms in Cullman and Blount and Etowah very closely for that far southern edge of DeKalb County. We're also going to keep an eye on these 2 storms that are up in the northern part of Jackson County. You've got one north of Scottsboro. We've got one just west of Stevenson. Matter of fact, let's just go ahead and take a look at that, since the storm that's in DeKalb County really seems to be moving more into Cherokee County at the moment. The storm that is in Jackson County has had a history of producing wind damage. Some of it fairly significant. Let me put the lightning back on here so that we can see, and there's just not a lot of lightning output from that storm, which is a good sign. It's a very good sign that we don't have a lot of lightning. But let's come in close here on the Stevenson area. You can see the Eureka community, Alabama Highway 117 into the Harris neighborhood, just north of Stevenson, the Rash community, County Road 54 in Jackson County. All of those communities and those roads getting some heavy rain, and the potential is there for some hail as well. Let's just kind of look at the hail potential here using the high top radar, and we'll look at the hail swath. It's not really showing a lot. And that's really good news for northern Jackson County. It was not such good news earlier. As a matter of fact, you can see down to the south where we've had pretty significant hail around Arab. You saw Gabrielle Diebler driving through that a little bit earlier along with Shane Hayes. We've had some fairly sizable hail around Albertville, and in southern DeKalb County, at least quarter-size to nickel-size hail has fallen there. And then another stripe of hail came out of Cullman County across Blount, and now that is into central Etowah County. Both of those storms are the dominant storms of the moment. Everything seems to be lined up right here near and just north of U.S. Highway 278 and south of a line from about Albertville over to, say, Blanche in Cherokee County. So those 2 storms are the ones that are dominant at the moment. We'll look at the velocity product from high top again. There's our rotation. It's moving out of DeKalb County. So in about 3.5 minutes, we're going to be going back to normal programming unless we want to hold it until 8:30. If someone in the control room wants to let me know. Okay, so we will keep going. We'll be able to scale back weather coverage in just a few moments when this is over. But we have a full team on what has been happening with the damage across North Alabama. Some of it's been very significant so far today. We'll get a full report on that. We've got Greg Screws and Clarissa McLean over on the desk. Meteorologist Christina Edwards is still here in the studio with me, and Ben Smith is finally going to get to go home and take a good rest before he has to be back in here tomorrow morning. Again, thank you very much, Ben, for your service today. It has been good working with you. Again, the situation improving rapidly for DeKalb County. There is no severe weather around Fort Payne or Geraldine or Rainsville at this point. Albertville, we're going to be able to give you the clear as soon as that tornado watch is dropped. The same thing goes for Boaz, Arab, and Gunnersville. As soon as they drop that watch, then we're going to give Marshall County the all clear. They may leave DeKalb County and Jackson County in the watch for just a little while longer. So while we are still in coverage of the aftermath of what has happened today, we'll continue to check in on the storms over in this area. But the only tornado warning in North Alabama is for this storm right here that is now moving out of DeKalb County into Cherokee County and Etowah County. So let's go in close and look at this again. Christina, have they issued an advisory on this yet to determine if it's going to be able to expire at the given time? They have not yet, but again, I'll be monitoring it and I'll be pinging when that becomes clear. Okay, so it's a little less than 2 minutes technically. The storm is clearly away from Aroni and from Rodentown at this point. There still might be some small hail falling around the Powell community, east of Crossville, east of Alabama Highway 227, but the tornado threat is clearly into Cherokee County now. There's the large hail, there's the hook, and here's where your possible tornado would be. We'll look at that sheer swath again, the hail swath. You can see the difference. Look at that. Look at the difference. The hail happens on the north side. The rotating part of the thunderstorm happens on the south side. So look at the difference. You see where the tornado would be versus where the large hail would be. It's like that in 9 out of 10 cases where you're going to get large hail, a quiet zone, and then you have the tornado developing right there. So in 1 minute, we're going to go to news coverage of what has been happening in North Alabama with the damage that has occurred so far today. That'll happen at around 8:15 when this warning in DeKalb County is allowed to expire. You can see the expiration time right there. Tornado warning set to expire today at 8:15. We are now at 8:14:20. And as is our promise, anytime there's a tornado warning, as long as it's in effect, we stay right here with you for the duration of it. There's where the large hail would be falling right now. Let's look at the shear rate at this moment. The highest shear potential is down to the south, and it's way down south, even of Leesburg. But you can see the intense lightning has moved out of DeKalb County into northeastern Etowah County and into the eastern part of Cherokee County. That's the shear right there, and we can investigate that and see what we're seeing. So that's that meters per second per kilometer. That's quite the value. Trust me, it's high. You get up into this red, that's pretty strong shear. And as far as what that means, again, it's the wind that's blowing opposite each other. When the winds are doing that, then that means that there's potential there for a tornado. I want to put the lines back on here again. We'll investigate and see if there's a BTI with this. Still a BTI of 4.7 for Cherokee County. Again, a tornado warning for Cherokee County until 9 o'clock. By the way, we are at 8:15 right now. And let me back this out just one more time for everybody's sanity, because I know a lot of people have had nothing happen tonight. And that was totally expected. We've really had 3 storms that have kept us on the air for, about 4 hours now, close to 3 or 4 hours. And it's been those storms that have done some pretty considerable damage. So this is our current situation. You've got a tornado warning in Cherokee County that expires at 9. Our severe thunderstorm warning that was in Jackson County has expired. There's just some heavy rain close to Stevenson right now. There's heavy rain up and down I-59 into Fort Payne, some thunder and lightning. We're keeping an eye on the storms that are to the south in Cullman and Blount and Marshall counties. But for Madison County, Morgan County, and Limestone County, the risk of severe weather has ended. Here's the latest tornado watch. Again, the tornado watch technically expires at 11 o'clock this evening. But we're going to see that get dropped for Jackson and Marshall and DeKalb before 11 p.m. And honestly, for Marion County and for Winston County, it's a matter of time before those counties are dropped. But if your county is not labeled with red, if your county is not colored in red at this point, then the severe weather threat is already over for you. Since we have no additional tornado warnings in the Tennessee Valley, the WHNT News 19 viewing area, that storm that was in Etowah County has moved into Cherokee County. Let's go over to the news desk and get an update with Clarissa and Greg and find out what in the world we've seen so far today. All right,
and you can take a deep breath now, Jason. Great job, man. Jason, Gabrielle, Christina, Ben doing a great job being all over this today. And we've got crews in a lot of places, and they're assessing things from obviously some of the reports that we've received here, and they're going to report back in. We'll get it to you as soon as we possibly can.
Right, because while our meteorologists are tracking these storms, we are getting viewers sending us videos and pictures and information and damage reports. So there's a lot to sort through. So we'll try to get to our crews as quick as possible and show you as many things as they've been seeing out in the field as well.
And they're going to tell us where we're going to check in first here in just a minute. But some of the things, we've got 1,300 people without power in Limestone County. That's according to Athens Utilities. And some of the things, just monitoring Twitter in particular, anecdotally. And Jason will certainly address this. This is a picture from Hazel Green. Let me finish my thought before we go to this. But one of the things that we've seen is some incredible hail pictures. I showed one to Ben a while ago, is a size of a baseball. And I don't know that I'm sure the weather people have seen that. I don't know that I've ever seen hail the size of a baseball. Okay, let's go back to that picture and just check in. This is from Ace Hardware storm damage in Hazel Green, and you can see significant damage here.
Absolutely. This is Madison County, just in case you're not familiar with where Hazel Green is, northern Madison County. Significant damage there to the roof. You can see the power lines down. This is also another angle from the Ace Hardware store in Hazel Green. You can even see that even after that, where a lot of rain fell, you can see water pooling in front of the building, in front of the structure there. And like I said, as Greg mentioned, in Limestone County, where that power outage was, that is affecting a lot of different communities there. Legtown, Elkmont, Ardmore. Haven't gotten any reports of power outages in Madison County, but that's something that has accompanied this storm so far today. Now, this is another picture, some of the storm damage from earlier this afternoon. This is from the Limestone County Sheriff's Office.
Yeah, and this is a picture that I believe Jason mentioned a while ago, that, and if I'm wrong on this, Jason will correct me, but Jason said just from the impressions of looking at this, it was an EF2 or the low end of an EF3. This is extraordinary damage here. Yeah.
When you start to see entire roofs ripped off, you're looking at least 110, maybe up to 120 or 130 miles per hour. And looking at that tree, there's still bark on the tree, so it may fall in the EF2 criteria. What the National Weather Service will do is they will actually go and survey that damage and look at how the house was constructed. There's actually some wind engineering that goes into that, and they'll go and inspect what the rafters looked like and how they were put together, if there was some extra reinforcing or if there were some structural issues that may have led to that. Sometimes the damage can look worse than what the wind really was based on how the structure was put together, but a brick house looks like that may have been built maybe in the 70s or 80s. That's usually going to be pretty good construction. So when you see the roof get torn completely off of that and a tree splintered that way, I would say at least upwards of 110 to 120 miles per hour.
Wow. And again, Jason, I know you're extremely busy tonight. You certainly dart in and out as much as you need to or want to here tonight. I always love to hear your input when these pictures start rolling in. This is from Ardmore. Again, more storm damage. Some of these outside buildings here, they don't hold up real well with stuff like this.
And like Jason mentioned, it is really interesting to hear what the analysis is going to be. I think when you're just a regular average person just looking at pictures like this, you're like, oh gosh, that looks bad. But the National Weather Service does do a lot of assessment, so it's good to have that perspective as well. We're going to show you another picture here. This is also from Ardmore. I think this might be the same property, but just a different angle.
This is from the back.
Yeah, from the back of that property. So you can see there's a pool there. But you can also see even better from this way how the roof looks from the other side. Like it's just gone.
And we got more here coming up again. One of these buildings that people have outside the sheds, the small garages that people stuff a lot of stuff in, as you can see with this one. And again, they just don't hold up very well. And we've got a lot of people, a lot of crews in a lot of different places. Chelsea Brensel's on Highway 251 in Ardmore near Gallatin. Jerry Hayes is in Lacon. There's some utility crews down there. He's checking on with what they're doing. Again, more storm damage from Ardmore here.
And I also just want to point out, we're showing you a lot of these pictures, but at this point we do not have any reports of any injuries or anything like that. So I just want to make sure we point that out at this point. So that's good news so far, and hopefully that continues to be the case as we get more information.
Yeah, this picture early in the day, this from Red Bay, Justin Gillespie sending those in. And folks, thank you so much for sending these pictures again. And the most important thing is when you get these pictures, make sure you're safe to get these pictures. Justin, probably a little more brave than I am probably at this point with that looming there. But this is from a picture earlier in the day in Red Bay.
And we do have a crew as well in Franklin County. Kristen Connor is there, and we'll be checking in with her in the evening to see kind of what has transpired there in the Shoals and in Franklin County. Now this is a video of possible tornado touching down in Falkville.
That is a tornado that was on the ground, and as if you were watching at the time, Ben was talking about that, and he had a friend who saw it, and really, I'm surprised at how good a view that Cody has in that image. I'm a little bit worried for him that he's out videoing that instead of being safe. You know, we never want you to be out putting yourself in harm's way, but that tornado did considerable damage around Falkville and Lacon, and then there was also a report of a tornado down close to Vinemont, although from Coleman EMA, I don't know of any damage so far. So it could be that someone saw that from a distance. Often the same tornado gets reported from multiple areas because of just how the storms work like that.
Cody Custer. Oh, go ahead, Justin.
Yeah, well, what I was going to say is, by the way, just by way of update, the tornado watch is still in effect for Marshall, Jackson, and DeKalb counties, but all warnings have moved south of our coverage area. That's why we're not continuous weather. We're looking at recap right now while we watch storms that are farther to the south.
Cody Custerman sending that in, and that's from Falkville, which certainly got my attention because that's pretty close to the neighborhood behind in Hartselle there. So I'll be interested to. I haven't heard anything bad from the old neighborhood yet, but we'll certainly see. And again, I'm cruising through my phone here, looking at some things. Huntsville Utilities is in Hazel Green. They're getting the folks back online that have lost power out there. And again, we talked about the hail. This looks like snow. There's
so much of it. This is a picture that, excuse me, Philip Sims sent us from Madison County. And, you know, this is kind of gives you like that broader view of how it looks when there's so much of it. And we're going to bring meteorologist Christina Edwards into the conversation. So, Christina, a lot of hail today, a lot of different sizes and intensity today.
Yeah, and I can provide a little bit of perspective, especially with some of those larger hail pictures. So, as we start to bring in those hail pictures, I'll be able to describe for you what size that is and just how strong of a storm it is to produce that. So, in this instance, we're looking at just a little bit bigger than 1 quarter, a U.S. quarter there, which is 1 inch in diameter. So that particular hailstone looks to be almost a $half size, which would be 1 1/4 inch. I have seen some that look like golf balls, tennis balls, and indeed some that have fallen in, say, Coleman County that almost look like that they were tennis balls and even grapefruit size. But many of us in Limestone County, we got the pea-size hail, but indeed it was so much that it accumulated almost to the point where it looked like snow. One person sent us a picture which it looked like a 6-inch accumulation of snowfall on the ground. So that's what it's a whole lot of hail on the ground accumulating. It looks very, very eerie considering this is almost a spring to summertime like event. With that said, we did have quite a bit of power outages here in the Tennessee Valley, and I'm going to go ahead and send this over to Christine Killemeyer for more information on that.
Christina, so right now, Athens Utilities is monitoring about 1,300 customers in the Limestone County area are currently without power. Again, that was because of all that storm system that went through the Limestone County area. Most of the outages are in North Limestone County. We're talking Legtown, Elkmont, Ardmore areas. I do know that the Limestone County Sheriff's Office had shared information earlier this evening saying that Highway 251 in the Ardmore community between Gatlin and Pinedale Road has been closed because power lines are down across the roadway there. Please be careful. If you ever see power lines across the road, do not drive over them. You want to be as careful as possible with any of those situations. But it's not Limestone County that is just dealing with power outages. We've also gotten reports from Huntsville Utilities that there is a power outage currently in Hazel Green. Huntsville Utilities crews are working to restore services to those affected in those areas. Right now, they don't really have an estimate as to how many people are without power in the Hazel Green area, but do know that we are monitoring this and do know that crews are out there working as safely and quickly as possible to get power back to all of your loved ones. We're going to continue to monitor the situations here in the newsroom, but for now, I'll send it back to the studio.
All right, Christine, thank you so much. We'll keep track of that as those crews work over the next few hours to make sure everyone has the power restored. But definitely be careful if you're traveling. I know a lot of times people will go out to try to see what's happening. Just be careful about that until they get everything back to the way it should be.
Yeah, particularly right now because it's night. You can see or tiptoe around things on your property and everything tomorrow morning when the sun comes up. But this is something like. Total Tannenbaum is out checking out some storm damage too for us, and when she was going out, she had just your basic athletic shoes. I mean, you got some new shoes. You have some other shoes, and she's checking things in. She was changing into shoes. Is what I'm trying to say, and because this can be dangerous. There are places that have had a lot of damage where the sheds have blown out, the roofs have come off. There are nails, there are sharp objects. So please be careful. Be smart. Just be smart when you're trying to get out and check things out.
And speaking of a lot of the hail pictures and video, we've had a live blog on our website during our severe weather coverage today, WHNT.com, and we've been sharing a lot of videos, pictures, and things like that the people have observed and information that we've gotten into our newsroom. This is just one example that you can see here, some video. Tiffany Owens there as a video of a tornado. I think that says in the Massey area. We're reading off of our screens here in the studio, so pardon me if I have to lean in a little bit to see that it's a little bit smaller in here. Also there you can see some updates from the National Weather Service, as well as some of the updates of when the tornado warnings were active. They aren't anymore. That was earlier.
Yeah,
see, there's another hail picture.
Christina,
look at that.
Check this out.
Intense. That looks to be about grapefruit size, which would be 4-inch in diameter, and that is going to take a massive a wind gust, if you will, that is pushing those up there almost 100 miles per hour in order to keep those lofted. And so the way these hailstorms form is that you start off with perhaps a water droplet or an ice droplet, and as it goes up, it goes above the freezing layer, it freezes, and then it comes down, it melts a little bit, and it gets a little bit of a coating of water, and then it gets lifted back up even more, freezes again, and over and over and over again until it gets too big, so that's heavy and it falls back to the ground because, of course, gravity's pulling it back down towards the ground. Now, Justin, tell me again, that was from Coleman County, correct?
Coleman County, yeah.
Coleman County. We got a lot of these reports in the Coleman County area. Many of them, in fact, the Coleman County Emergency Management Agency showed us a lot of their pictures of their hailstones. So this is significant hail. Again, 4-inch in diameter. That is very, very intense.
Yeah, and I just saw a tweet from storm chaser Jeff Petrowski. And if you follow storm chasing, Jeff is famous for staring at the blue shed during Hurricane Harvey. That guy, blue shed guy.
Got it.
So Petrowski was in Coleman tracking the storm. He said every car at Mitch Smith Chevrolet has body damage.
Wow.
23, almost 23 years ago to the day, a hailstorm hit South Coleman and pretty much wiped every car out in Mitch Smith's parking lot. Yeah. So here we are 23 years later, and we've had baseball size and grapefruit size hail falling across Coleman County. I'm getting, and of course that's where I'm from.
Right.
So I'm getting loads of pictures with people comparing it to baseballs and softballs. And I mean this. I said this earlier today in a Facebook live stream. Regardless of the tornado threat, whatever ends up with that's always the hardest part to predict. We knew there was going to be enormous hail today because the freezing level was so low in the atmosphere, and because even though it felt cool for most of the morning, we knew that powder keg was going to build up, and it sure did. The atmosphere just exploded with these big thunderstorms, and look at that hail in Madison County from Philip Sims.
Yeah, and I showed, right before Ben left, I showed Ben a picture where a guy had hail and a baseball. So it's baseball-sized hail. And the thing about it, too, Jason makes a good point about, obviously they're going to have to deal with the hail damage on the cars. There's a lot of people that have roof damage on this. People are going to probably be getting Coleman County, for sure, are going to be getting new roofs put on.
And I'm seeing video right now on Twitter. It looks like almost every car in the Mitch Smith lot has the windows broken out of it.
Yeah, and if you're looking at that picture on the screen now, that is not that what you're seeing is not a soft, mushy piece of hail that has just splatted on the windshield. That is a windshield that is cracked and spidered and everything right there. So that's what you're looking at there. Yeah, Jason, I'd forgotten they had that before. They're probably thinking, "Are you kidding me?" Because they've been through this before. Because if I remember the last one, it was every single car.
It was. My dad worked at Coleman Products at the time, which is in South Coleman, just down the street from Mitch Smith. And he came home and showed me his truck, and it was pulverized. Wow. Just absolutely beat to a pulp. So the hail tonight has been prolific in Etowah County, and I'm just looking at the radar right now. Etowah County, Blount County, eastern Coleman County, there's still some hail falling there. We still note that there's some rotation with storms in Cherokee County. Those are out of what we determined to be our coverage area. I know you can pick up our stream in Afghanistan if you have internet, but we don't cover all of the counties in central Alabama because, my old counterpart, James Spann, he's covering those counties right now. So if that's your designated market area, if you typically watch television out of Birmingham, that's why we're not streaming coverage for those counties at the moment, but we are watching it closely because it's still awfully close to the southern border of our counties. And I note that there is a severe thunderstorm warning up for the northeastern tip of Jackson County right now. That severe thunderstorm warning is going to go until 8:45 p.m. and it's primarily for hail in northeast Jackson County.
And again, that picture, what you're seeing on the screen there, quarter-sized hail, which compared to what they got in Coleman County, that's pretty small. So we got lucky, I guess we could say. But that's from Madison County. Jeannie Williams sending that in. Thank you much, Jeannie, for sending that in.
And a lot of these pictures and videos, like I mentioned, you can see them and go back and look at them on WHNT.com's live blog that we had going on during the day. Also, we're just keeping track of where some of our crews are. We have them all over North Alabama. This is just another example, another picture. Earlier, we were showing you some pictures of the damage and things like that, but we just got word from the Limestone County Sheriff's Office that they do not have any reports of any injuries from today's storm, so that's good. Right now, the crews, they are just busy trying to work to clear the roads and get them back to the point where they're safe and drivable again.
Kathy Miller, this is from Lake Hahn. And again, Lake Hahn, very close to where you saw the tornado video from Faultville a while ago. Faultville's 5 miles down the road on 31 from Hartselle. Lake Hahn's another 3. But that's what that is. You see some damage there. Things turned over. You see part of a tree down. I'm sure they've got some homes somewhere that's got some damage there south of Faultville and on into Lake Hahn. Again, this was another one from Moulton. Moulton on the firing line early on with this. Heather Jolly with the picture there. And again, thank you very much, folks, for sending the pictures that you're sending in to us.
And like you said, these pictures are just an example, of how powerful these storms can be. When you see roofs blown off and large tree trunks blown down, it just gives you an indication of how strong the winds can be and how strong these storms can be, roots uplifted and things like that. So we're just going to keep trying to show you some of the pictures that we've gotten throughout the day. This one is from Sam Calhoun. And this is also a picture from Moulton. It looks like Sam there is giving the credit, though, the photo credit to Kim Waits, excuse me. So there in this picture, you can see a tree that has fallen and is obstructing the road there. You can see the yellow line there in the middle of the street and see that tree is clearly over it. And then it's a little bit hard to see if the house on that property is impacted, but definitely the tree is down and covering the road. And that's a report that we get a lot when storms like this come through the area. A lot of blockage of roads, and there's a concern with that at night. People driving at night, and they may not see it, they might not be aware of it, so got to be careful with that.
At that house, if they didn't have any damage from the way that looks, they might want to buy lottery tickets. I mean, that's hopefully there's not, and they got really lucky and they didn't get any damage from there. We're expecting to hear from Chelsea Brinsell here very soon. She's got some information, an interview with Stephen Young from the Limestone County Sheriff's Office. We hope to have that soon. But again,
and actually, my producer is saying that Chelsea is available.
Very good.
She's in Limestone County, as Greg just mentioned, and she's got some information from the Limestone County Sheriff's Office. So, Chelsea, if you can hear us, just tell us what you're seeing and what's the latest information from Limestone County.
Okay, so we're actually out here on Gatlin Road between Highway 251 and Pinedale Road in Ardmore. And I just want to show you some of the damage before we talk to the Limestone County Sheriff's Office. This is the roof of a home here. You can see that it's totally blown off. The tree over here is split, and the garage is actually on the other side, which you can't see right now, but that's totally blown off into a car. Extensive damage inside this home. It's a complete mess. I spoke with the homeowner. Luckily, everybody is okay, but I do want to talk to Stephen Young from the Limestone County Sheriff's Office. He's out here with me. So, Stephen, you guys have been out here working all night. What have you seen so far?
Well, we've seen a lot of damage, unfortunately. I guess the good news for us here in Limestone County is that we have no reports of injuries from the storms. It appears that this particular storm first dropped around Salem Minor Hill in West Limestone and tracked all the way across following the state line almost due east to where we are now and then across Highway 53. This is probably the most extensive of the residential damage, although we do have damage reports from Elkmont. We have damage reports from West Limestone, from about 2 miles west of here on Oak Grove Road and Sweet Springs Road. We got a lot of inaccessible roads, so crews are working really hard right now to clear those.
Right, and Highway 251 is blocked off right now. You were telling me there's a power line down.
Highway 251 is blocked, and that's why you see some of this traffic through here as we've rerouted 251 along Gatlin Road. There are power lines down on 251 between Pinedale and Gatlin.
And power out probably all around us.
At this point, that'd be safe to assume that I haven't seen any lights that aren't self-sustaining. So it is a lot of damage, and it appeared to track into Madison County there across Highway 53. And like I said, fortunately, nobody was injured that we're aware of.
Okay. Anything that you need to know from people at home if they're seeing damage to report?
I think that this is an example of people who actually did take the warnings seriously. People sought shelter. I believe the residents here, when they saw the track, of the storm, went to a safer house, got in a basement. So this could have been a lot worse than it was, and people need to heed those warnings.
Right. Thank you so much.
Right.
And just to put that into perspective again, the people who live at this home, they were about 30 minutes out from the storm, and they finally made the decision to go to someone else's basement. So they did heed that warning, like Stephen just said. So still a lot of cleanup to do here. We're working to get some more interviews. Another thing that I heard from a Limestone County commissioner is that there's a lot of damage in the Elkmont area, and that actually the police chief's vehicle was completely damaged from a tree that fell down on top of it. So we're still going to stay out here and take a look at what's going on and be here as the cleanup efforts are underway. For now, live in Limestone County, Chelsea Brensel, WHNT News 19.
Yeah, so much information there. Just a quick recap. No injuries out of Limestone County. The representative, Stephen Young from the Limestone County Sheriff's Office, says that they're working to clear the roads. They've rerouted some traffic while they do that. And they're just going to be working as quickly as possible, and also emphasizing that people took the warning seriously, and that's so important. Yeah. I know there's sometimes people can have the concern about, are we making too big of a deal about this, especially if they're in an area where they aren't necessarily seeing, as strong of a or severe of a weather situation, but this just goes to show, like, our coverage area is really wide, and there are a lot of places that can be impacted by these storms. And so, when our meteorologists are giving these warnings and we're telling you this, it's really, because we have people's best interests in mind. We want people to be safe, and we like when we have these weather days where no one is hurt and no one has lost their life, and there's just property that can be replaced and things like that. So that's just as important to us, and we keep that in mind, when we have these long days like this. So I'm glad to hear that nobody.
I was texting back and forth with a friend of ours who's in the TV business up in Knoxville, and she was, saying, "Y'all hang in there, good, hope things go well." And I was telling her that I'm always struck by, at some point in the afternoon before these storms get here, about the tone and the tenor and how quiet it is in the newsroom. I mean, this is serious business. Jason started beating the drum on this. What day, Jason? Wednesday? Tuesday? Wednesday?
We started talking about it last Monday.
Last Monday, okay. So a week ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We started looking ahead and said, there's a chance that this could, I don't know if you could hear anything I just said.
Start.
Last Monday, we started talking about, in the office, that something just didn't look right about next Monday, that being today. And the model guidance wasn't lined up for a severe weather. Matter of fact, it had the entire system south of us, but there was just something about it that didn't look right. And that's part of forecasting. It's not just taking the model and reading what the model says. In fact, I hate the models. Everybody wants to know what the models are doing. They don't want to know what the forecast is anymore. So we knew early last week that today had potential to be a severe weather day. Now, on 7 days ago, we didn't know it was going to be as big as it has been. But then about Wednesday, it started becoming very clear that Monday was going to be a day to circle. And we even talked about circle that on your calendar. Put an alert on your calendar. Remember that Monday is going to be a bad weather day because the weekend's going to be okay. You're going to forget about this. We knew that this was coming. And fortunately, because of social media, because people are sharing this information, people are tagging people in posts saying, hey, do you know about this? Are you sure that you're aware of what's really coming? And look, we appreciate that. We appreciate you helping us get the message out. It's a team effort. We learned lessons from April 27th. We learned lessons from April 28th. We learned lessons from November 30th. And that's just this decade, 3 big days. This day, thank goodness, not a fatality. You know, you have this many tornadoes and this much hail and this much damage that we have out there, not a single fatality. Hey, that's great. That's an answered prayer. That's fantastic.
And so many people, as we shared these things on all the social media platforms and on our personal pages, so many people are saying thank you. And I think that, that's a big difference. If this happens, I'm an old guy. If this happens 25 years ago, this thing is different, probably. But this just, to have no injuries that we've heard of, whew.
Yeah, no.
That's amazing.
It is a relief. We're going to check in with one of our crews who's in the Shoals area, WHNT News 19's Kristen Connor. She's been in Franklin County today. She's actually in Russellville and is going to provide us with an update. So, Kristen, if you can hear us, describe where you are and tell us what you've seen and what you've heard today.
Yeah, I can absolutely hear you. Yeah, right now we're in Russellville off 43 at the Waffle House. This is the part of Russellville that EMA people here say that was hit pretty much the hardest in Russellville. We're going to show you some of the damage here at the Waffle House, but I want to begin by saying nobody was hurt here in Russellville, like you've been saying. Such a blessing to this community. People here say this happened in just the blink of an eye, and that's why it's so important to be prepared. So we're going to show you what some of these winds were able to do to this Waffle House. You can see the awning here, and it's pretty well lit from one end. You can see it's kind of crumpled, sort of like an accordion, which is just insane when you think about what those winds can do. Up higher, you can see that sign. Alex is going to bring you over there. Completely busted out. I mean, just crazy stuff. There's a window also on the Waffle House. You can't see it from here, but the woman inside told us that the winds actually sucked the glass out of it, and there wasn't a piece of glass on the inside. Just really crazy stuff. They're actually inside now. You can see some people here sort of assessing damage. The EMA's been here. The fire department has been here at this Waffle House and other locations just around the area. Right across the street actually is Road Gear Trucking Equipment, and they had some metal roof crumpling. Some of it was ripped off. There's a side wall on the other side that was pulled away. And also Alabama Central Credit Union just down the road. We saw some of the A-frame there that had fallen. Just some mostly roof damage according to the EMA. Here in Russellville, there were some also apartments just down the road that also had some damage. So we've been monitoring this. We've been talking to them. They say really the story here is blessings, blessings, blessings. A lot of people here took to the shelters, not just sheltering in place, but actually went to the shelters that they have throughout Russellville. We actually passed some of those on the side of the road on the way to this scene here at the Waffle House, and we saw people kind of poking their head out, of the shelters, and they were doing well. They did what they were supposed to do. They went to where they felt safe. They went to the safest place they knew, and that's where they were able to be to ride this out. So we do know that the EMA has asked for the National Weather Service to come out and try to do a survey. So we'll stay on top of whether that's going to happen and what they are able to find if they do come out, just to see what kind of winds were able to cause the damage here at this Waffle House and some of the buildings in this general area. Again, people here say it happened in just the blink of an eye, just so fast, and they had to really just take cover. If they weren't so prepared, it might have been a different story here in Russellville. We're going to stay on this here. We're going to be on WHNT News at 10 as well to bring you the latest from Russellville. But for now, live in Russellville, Kristen Connor, WHNT News 19. And
again, another area, no reports of injuries or anything like that, which is just tremendous news from what we've seen.
Absolutely. We are going to check in now with WHNT News 19's Jerry Hayes. He's been in Storm Hunter 19 throughout the afternoon with photojournalist Greg Stone. They've been monitoring damage in certain areas, and right now they're in Lacon. So, Jerry, what's the latest? Tell us what you're seeing where you are.
Well, we're not seeing a lot of damage, which is good. We are in just off of Highway 31 South in Lacon, not too far from the Cullman-Morgan County line. We're about a half a mile this side of that line. But we did see some utility crews from the Joe Wheeler Electric Co-op, and they're working right now to restore power. They had a breaker when the storm came through earlier this afternoon and knocked out power. They're not quite sure how many people, but they're thinking somewhere around a couple of thousand homes lost power. And of course, they're out here right now that the rain has subsided and it's a little bit safer to get out here and do this kind of work. They're trying to get the power back on. They say once they get this breaker back tripped in the on position, probably 500 to 600 people will get power back. But it's a slow process, and this is dangerous work, as everybody knows. You know, a lot of lines came down during storms today, a lot of tree limbs knocking down some of those lines. So they were lucky here that the problem on this particular unit is just where they had a breaker go out, so there aren't any down lines. We were told that down the road there's a bridge, and I'm not familiar with this area that well, but it said that there was significant damage to the bridge down there. Not a lot of damage to homes or anything, nothing significant, they said. There were a lot of trees that were laid down. When the storm came through, it laid down a lot of lumber, but we can't find a lot of significant damage in this area. A little bit earlier this evening, I ran into the mayor of Fogville, and he was telling me they were lucky that they didn't have really any damage. There were also reports that there had been a tornado down around Fogville High School, but we went and checked that out. Building still standing. Building from what we could see looked fine, and so we haven't seen a lot of damage other than just people losing power in this area. But once again, utility crews are out all over the Tennessee Valley. I know the folks from Huntsville Utilities are working hard right now. Folks from Joe Wheeler Electric Co-op, they've got 3 guys, this particular crew that we ran into, and they're going to be here as long as it takes throughout the night to try to get power back on. And of course, we're going to be here with them. Reporting live, Storm Hunter 19, Jerry Hayes, WHNT News 19 in Lacon.
All right, Jerry, thank you so much.
And got Christine Killmeyer in the newsroom. At one point, we had 1,300 people, I think it was, out of power. I think we have Limestone County. I think we have an update on that with Christine.
Yeah, Greg, Clarissa, right now we are still looking at about 1,300 Athens Utilities customers without power in the Limestone County area. But Athens Utilities is also sending out a warning for people who may be driving around in the Limestone County area. First off, don't be driving around to go look at people's damage. Don't be a looky-loo. Nobody needs that. Stay home. If you are out driving and if you do have somewhere that you need to be, first responders are working in a plethora of areas in Limestone County, so you need to be careful when driving on Sinyard and Vivians Road, Walnut Grove Road, Legtown Road, Happy Hollow and Turkey Creek, Vito Road and Compton Road, New Bethel and Shipley Hollow, Pettisville Road, Upper Elkton Road, Bethel Road, Clem Road, Putnam Road, Thatch Road, Mooresville and Upper Fort Hampton Road, Mooresville and Sweet Springs Road, Highway 251 between Gatlin and Pinedale Road, that remains closed, Highway 251 and Valley Drive, Oak Grove Road and Sweet Springs Road, and Gatlin Road and Mitchell Loop. Now, all of these are primarily in that Elkmont, Ardmore area, just east of I-65 in that Thatch, Bethel community. There are a ton of power lines down, which is why so many people are without power. Please, if you are out driving or if you're about to go out driving to go check on your neighbors or what have you, do not drive over downed power lines. Crews are working as quickly as possible to fix broken power poles, to clear the power lines off the roadways, but keep yourself out of harm's way. Don't go driving if you don't have to. Send it back to the studio.
All right, Christine, thank you so much.
And absolutely great advice. This is not a place you need to get out and see, sightsee and get in people's way. I mean, it's 9 o'clock. Just stay home at this point, and we'll show it. We'll show it to you. We're out there in the middle of this. They don't need any more sightseers to get out there and get in the way of folks who are trying to resolve a lot of the issues that have cropped up today.
And I also just want to touch on the fact that there were some power outages in Madison County as well, in the Hazel Green area. We got some information from Huntsville Utilities earlier that they were dealing with some damaged lines and utility poles there, and so they're trying to work on that as well. Can you repeat that, Justin? Okay.
Kelly Miller here from Lake Hahn. You see this is the house. We can't really see anything with the house from this picture, but you see a lot of things turned over and significant damage there with the tree from a tree in the front yard.
Yeah, we're going to just continue to show you some of the damaged pictures. And if you hear Greg and I addressing Justin, Justin is our executive producer, and he's giving us a lot of information and guiding us on what we're going to do next. So we are talking to a real person. If you can't see him.
This is broadcasting by the seat of your pants here is what we're doing, trying to get you as much information as we can.
So this is a picture that Heather Jolie sent to us. This is from Moulton. And in this picture, you can see some of the water that pooled on the side of that property near the fence. You can also see some roof damage on the house there as well.
And this is Laura Briley, Moulton. You see a big tree there that's down. I can't tell if it's on the truck or not, but this again, as you heard Jerry say, part of it is part of the tree. The tree is on part of the truck. As you heard Jerry say, use the phrase, and I love the way Jerry turns a phrase sometimes that will cut right to the heart of things. As far as it brought a lot of lumber down, which is what this did. Lazarus Williams here, this tree on a truck. This is from Good Springs.
Yeah, and like I said, seeing these pictures like this, we've covered a lot of storms and a lot of storm damage, but it is always amazing to me to see how powerful Mother Nature is, and just to see things and structures that are built to be strong, and trees that have been there for who knows how long, and then the winds just come through and just topple it like it's nothing. So this is a picture, like Greg mentioned, Good Springs from Lazarus Williams. We've got another one from Lazarus. This one is of a structure. You can see roof damage there, and you can see things just thrown all in front of the property as well.
Yeah, significant roof damage there. Let's see if we have some more here. This is from Zeb Jones in Danville, and you look at the root bowl on that tree, and that's a pretty good height right there when it turns over like that. So you see the power of that to bring a tree that size down. Well, it looks like two trees that size down.
This is another picture from Zeb Jones in Danville, just some of the clouds and that you can see. Now, Christine, are you able to look at this picture? I don't want to make any incorrect statements about what we may or may not be seeing in this picture.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually move myself closer to a monitor, because sometimes you got to look at the nuance of what you see in the cloud structures. And in this picture, from Danville, from Zeb Jones, we're looking at a lot of the lowering of the clouds, if you will, but I'm not able to really discern a tornado or a wall cloud or any of those structures. It may look like it out in the distance, but I think that is rain and not necessarily a funnel or a tornado. With that said, we do know that a tornadic storm did move through the Danville area, did move through southern Morgan County. So we're continuing to look through all the different pictures, whether it's in the moment as the storms came through, as well as the damage pictures. And so we will be analyzing this for a long time.
Okay, thank you, Christina. And a lot of these pictures, you can see them on WHNT.com. We had a live blog that was going on throughout the afternoon, so you can check there. And anytime things like this happen and you want to send us a picture, our first criteria is that you do so safely. We don't want you putting yourself in harm's way, and then you can just email and send those videos to us. You can use social media. You can also email them directly to our newsroom at photo@WHNT.com.
Justin's pulling up the live blog. Give you a look at that. That's one thing that's very helpful during these storms. And again, this David Kuhnbrock who put a picture up, and again, this is from the Russellville area. Yeah, this is from a company in Russellville. That's the Waffle House there that Kristen Connor is just reported from just a few minutes ago.
Yeah, and these are some pictures that were from earlier, so there's a little bit more daylight, so you can see it a little bit better than you may be able to see during some of the live shots. We do have lights, but it is evening, and so some of these pictures can give you maybe a better view, as well as how things look during the daytime.
And we're going to go to Jason Simpson. Jason wants to weigh in on some of what we're seeing here as well.
Yeah, what I want to do is go to, wow, my voice is gone, isn't it? I'll be lucky to make it to 10 o'clock.
You've been talking for 7 hours.
Well, Walt gave me a cold, too, so that's what life's like with small children. I wanted to let you know that there's still a severe thunderstorm warning in effect for Blount County and for parts of Coleman County, but the storms are out of Coleman County. Specifically, if you have a child at Jacksonville State University, there has been what appears to be a fairly significant tornado in Calhoun County, and we're looking at the Birmingham NEXRAD. There's still a tornado warning in effect for Calhoun County and Cleburne County until 9:30 this evening, and another tornado warned storm basically going to follow that same path. And if you know anything about Alabama history, back in the 90s, there was a huge EF4 tornado that went just north of Jacksonville. Hopefully tonight we don't have that kind of damage, but if you have a child at Jacksonville State University, you may want to call and check on them, especially if they live off campus. I've not heard of significant damage to the campus, but I do know that some roofs have been ripped off of houses down here around Jacksonville, and that storm is now moving into Cleburne County. The next storm in line that's coming toward Jacksonville is this one that's over here just to the north of Lincoln, and at the current pace it's moving, it's going to move across and get to the Jacksonville area right about 9:18 p.m. So Calhoun County and Cleburne County still under tornado warnings in East Alabama. The tornado watch, by the way, for North Alabama has been cleared. I can show you that here on the map. Morgan County, Marshall County, DeKalb were the last holdouts, as well as Jackson, but those counties have been dropped. Notice Winston and Marion have been dropped. We will likely see Coleman County drop from the watch soon. The severe weather threat is ending very rapidly in Coleman County and in Blount County, but for Madison, Limestone, and Points Northwest, severe weather threat's been over for quite some time. As we go through the rest of tonight, remember, it's going to turn colder, and I'm going to have the 7-day forecast. We're going to have a normal weathercast coming up at 10 o'clock where we'll actually talk about what's coming down the line and not what's just happening in the next 24 hours. But there is colder air getting set to move in from the north. This is what the surface map looks like right now. All of this is because of a cold front that is now east of Huntsville. We'll notice the temperature starts dropping a little bit later on tonight, and that wave right there, that little thing right there is going to kick off some showers tomorrow, and get this, they might even end as some snow flurries late tomorrow night into early Wednesday. But for right now, the severe weather threat has shifted down toward East Alabama. Jacksonville has just had a tornado, and there is potentially another one coming from St. Clair County right through Ohatchee out 144 toward the Jacksonville, Alexandria area. Just wanted to update you on that in case you have a child or property or you have family down around Jacksonville.
Thank you, Jason. We'll check back in with Jason. Again, he's getting prepared for the 10 o'clock news tonight and getting a drink of water and a cough drop. Man, he is pulled yeoman's duty today getting this coverage out. But again, I think the bottom line here is we've seen a lot of damage. We've seen a lot of trees down. We've seen trees on some homes. We've seen trees on trucks and that sort of thing. We've not had a report of any injuries.
Yeah, a lot of hail today as well.
Yeah,
a lot of those pictures and videos, if you want to see them, you can do so on our social media pages and on WHNT.com. Some, as meteorologist Christina Edwards pointed out, grapefruit-size hail, so that is significant. You even saw some that were baseball-size hail. Also, one of the lingering effects of the storm are the power outages that are still in place tonight, and a lot of the cleanup that has to take place. There are first responders and people from Sheriff's Office and power utilities companies trying to get those things taken care of as quickly as possible, and they've asked that people just try to stay out of the area so they can get that done safely and get it done as quickly as possible.
Absolutely. Ben went home to go to bed because he's got to be back at 4:30. Christina's in the studio. Jason's in here too. And Gabrielle Diebler, let me just tell you, she had a front row seat for it today. Gabrielle's going to check in at 10 o'clock tonight on WHNT News 19 at 10. We've got a lot to show you, and we're going to rejoin programming here in just less than 10 seconds.
But we'll be back in an hour for WHNT News 19 at 10.
This was a severe weather.